Adesema me mamu nyina chema makwa ba United Television sunie enne ye memene drabo so me na na wie ane se ne date mpo ye sen enne date 29th October na say October na akwa wie na se yeko beka bra na edibedi akọ enya ware ye no na ye de hana adwene se October September nti October 29 2022 enne ede nyakopon de ache ye nie ye da na se bebe obi amema wache ema wakwaba aba UTV so ene ebedi nkomo ene ebehwe oman Ghana bebe ye duro ene bebe ye pese yeko ede na ebe ye de aboma manager na nanso na abusua bia ntokwa wom asetena bia ntokwa wom mentem wase tumi soro abre bia na mmom oha no ba okwa befa so besi oha na no eno na hia oyire ni okunu ntokwa ba na se ntokwa ne ba mentem wase ne ba na se bufuo no ba menka ne sa se bufuo no ba okwa ben so na mofa de sisi abufuo no uje mfum so tum sa wo na afom ye for the sake of peace uje mfum so tum said de be ya de awafom no be hu se asemesi afom me waje ne mfum so atum abe fa nche no let's move on. Nyankopon na ye sobno no waka asem bi o se gidi kan ye bonefo ye nyina ya bonefo be ka ho o ka ho esa se bonemu no mu ye nyina Adam ne Eve ekodi aduaba ne ye ni ho nanso isanse eye generational curses ntino aka ye nyina nti dia wo ye ne nne no ka hu se ubu nua bi usisi nua bi utietie nua bi fa hodie so wo di trafa wo nua bi hu ade enim oba bi a sika na wo be di trode agye ni nyina no nsa be ka na mu ka hu se wo ma ne wo mama generational curses no ebe koso sa Nyakopon say dedi kan se dipa wo ye bone niema ho do miensa na obetumi agina so ede nya bone fa efri onu Nyakopon a ode bone che no dedi kan ani so obeji atum say why ye bone. That's number 1. Wo beji atum say wo nipa no why ye bone ani di kan de to so mienu ubenu hu de to so mienu ubenu hu de to so miensa aye bode fache ebisa so bebisa se mfa obone nchew obesere bode fache enti sha no nso enyo obi de baka kire wo se wa ye bone ti gitum no enyo obi de baka uyo nipa oti side accept frache na wadwe ni mini bebi edam se wo ye bone a ofumu a je ofum so tum se me Kwabena metie ma fom do se debi wo se kasa tinti won fum so wom nte me kasa na me se ma no ko pai kakra wo baby na me wie program ana pani bi frɛ me o frɛ me na mo say no asam na me in fact me hu say asam na me kan no kitu bi but na am sa no hye kakra nti o kan na me yi ampa enti wona me jimfo so tubu sa mafom pa ema me firi nipa na me ni di nkomo ne pa ne chew ono so gitu mu and we are one of the best friends ebetumi aka say ye Ghana madam for pa no enti say bibi koso obabi a let us accept the fact to say things are not going on well somewhere enti ahwe nya hu bibi eno kure abaya onyem ebre so bu ni san mu ni nsa nani masesa ne maame ekohu no baabi se wo ofe ede na ye wo se bibi anyame wonyem osemenyem ade wonim afo nsa osemenyem obi na ni ese ne se ni nyina na efita osemenyem wonyem osemenyem nyinsan hoyi enti se ba yere eden a ebepie. Enti I quite remember on this very show because sembi abase de niema si ko manga na mu. Emma me be wie no word that me use the chat to one say swallow your pride. Ahomaso no calm down. Obenya wiase mu nyansa nyina. Na so sa wo de ahomaso sori a, unyansa na tumi nya adwuma da. Niema sesa. And it's a fact. Enti esi agitum se oman no niema nkoye wo mu, yanyi ntum sa de di kan no. Na ye bone ya agitum se ye bone, ya gi yefum so atum. Je to so mienu. Na ye toto so sa. Wuto fum so tu na nu hu a, bisa bone facha ya de chew. Na mo no wafum, wa wonim se wafum. Wa wonim se de na wo ye ne nye. But you sit say de na wo ye ne ya. You become a nuisance. Obi abu fool. Obi ani nye hu bio. Esa se wo di tro. Makwa wi ankwan mu nam. Na enkwan na so mata de mu ku. Na me fike chimba. Kwabra ko wi anam se wi anam. Me wa enkwan so na se mata de mu. That means say what you ni wadwene say wonyi mfum so ntomu da. Anu say da bida. Until I'm come brofo say it's only a fool who does it change his mind. Enti baby o man na dro no. Mumma yanyu ntum say ne man koye. Ni enya equalization. I think somewhere last week in Vietnam we can say this is not the time for NPP NDC. No. Obi ade na dwen kire ba mumma yanyu ntum. We don't need to rubbish obi adwen kire. No. Anse say here ne sa. Me follow social media ni nema hudo nyina. The former president, he has been a president before. Why am I penida? And so also na dwen kire bi ba. Obviously politics bebem, uchu mu time bebem. I remember those days Occupy Ghana. Na omo occupy Flagstaff House. Young work no for that no ka ho, ana meboa. Occupy Ghana no ka ho. No see economy ni nye. Oni mpanyifo hudo bi amu ni mu ho. And some of us na ye penisa so mo ye nisa because so man pursue nunuma ne kankana ma and na ye kakra Occupy Ghana no occupy Flagstaff House so say sometimes near friend Jubilee House Flagstaff House that sa do you understand omo kire omo adwene enti ene ba ku kra na from afag fo wo so omo de omo ye won chen ne ma hodo bebre. And it's an enemy being koya. You must also accept so obi wan che obetumi aka ho asam. Former President Mahama has been a president before. And ono so kasa edu baby a my rubbish no unfortunate aspect ni say nipa na e rubbish sa nim difo empanyifo nyina omo adwenche no nim de no. They are nobody. Metumi metena ha enka say sebe minimum nyasa che obia metumi no. Na mo no baby o man na duro no this is not the time ye ben NDC NPP se panin bi e che na adwene a sebe mo ma yen som anya hwekwa e be hu ade ketua bi omu a e betumi aboa ama ye de aka de pese ye no ho e be wiase no na Ghana na edi nkunim so many koye na in the history of Ghana because NPP administration led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. NDC administration led by so and so. Etino ma yenye no say obi na dwen kire ba ye bogu just like that. No. Yenye ne sa. Enti mesre bebre. Ene last 2 weeks gate door e DCC dan no yi yes be security one na asefo na 1,900 Ghana cedis last 2 weeks and then edu 2,700 Ghana cedis diana eye e be 1,300 no and I'm 1,900 Ghana cedis. That's the fact. No kura ho no. You see, eti Mom yan so said there may be nkoye ni yan ntum na yan hwe kwan be fa so aso man me aka ene na me ka say I wish say paper na ba kwa ka say bi ma me hwe say aha o say nana ministers meet over economy winim akadebe me depa na ni say nana ebia wa form team both NDC NPP economic gurus organ ha na womu nyina ehia wo baabi wo ebema hoye na ewo man mu kura so bete prekope. The same ministers are in the helm of affairs. Ebia new ideas bi baba and I hope and pray say ebeba na niema tough ekofam no etume pagya. Eti braso say yenye national dialogue. It's not about NPP Ghana and NDC Ghana. It's about Ghana first. And sana de aka nyina de ato aso. Say ayi ne sa. Yetete ho sa. Na say na say obi a brilliant idea bi obetumi de abo man Ghana. Na so ma because onim so be ka sisi a ye be ka so NDC ni. Mimi tia me ka say ya boro me wo ho sa. Ya kan wasam sa. Me wa munnim na bi mu binum so ye behind the scene to sustain the system. Munnim ebia yensem bia ye kan wa ha metie bia mbeka na memene da bia ne da bia meba bia no niema keten bi omu a sanka bia mpanyefo ne fa mpa aka betumi abo akakra but because say ya tiuni ya dwene aka say yesusu say asemesi obenti no so bin asemesi oye obenti ana say obenku ana nifa. I mean me I'm not in benku mo nifa. NDC can never say anything and people can never say anything. It's about Ghana first. Me Ghana na me dwene ho. Business are collapsing. Industries are suffering. Manufacturers are crying. Utility, electricity bill cost, water bill cost, taxes, cool industries, local industries. They are dying. They are collapsing. They are shutting down. Wow. And to see your mind, let's see, or say, then. Yendi made in Ghana why ye na that way. Bisa womwa a manufacture nyama a Ghana ha manufacture nyama. Go and ask them what they go through or what they are going through. Go and ask them. Yene bi no din komo. They are crying. Omusugu omumu. But the question is business or ye ntino. What to make us a gumi business? I said okwan obefa so na business be ko na nim na no na odwene ho. Please, it's time say Agya and the NPP. Obi da adwinche bi amomfa na momfa nya adwuma. Nya sadi bakofo tirim. Good morning once again. I don't know pay me din the Agya Kwabena, one and only TV star. Na the obon krata no nsem bebre wom. Kwabena dwumfomfo ni wa ha. Na ye be video bi amamahwe. Na nsan yanya ne ntia se wokọ pokwase amasaman sa highway na demolition bi koso. Na demolition na koso no ye nyina anim se ye be ye kwan a se bebi a wote no legitimately se wo dia na wote wa ye bubu no. Na bebi a ye bubu se si a ye kasa yi no amafo no se bubu dan na yan compensate wo mo. They were not compensated. Yamamu patasika biya. Sa no moka. Na voice visuals ni bi voice wo mu ama me bi ka say wo matena ho na mo ye wo mu ye obi ama mo tro ama kapre no compensation. Aha. Enti ye bisa say sa demolition na ekoso e wo Pokuase ene nasefo main road no. Ye compensate womo anasa yan compensate womo ye mon patasika so muntu free wesasasase no womo tono marakwan so na ebia bibia ti sa no ekoso ana question a esese ebisa no enti men kwa ama no so na ye ne abankrachia o no nyafo wekensin eni ko mbisa nse mo na mo demolition ma mo bia compensation ana ona bo machi
de dia minia
bibia bokwa no pay.
Na mi atum bibia boko.
Honorable, ayi ama 42 we say man compensate omo. Na demolition say koso gidi. True or false? Compensation or no compensation?
Jacoba, me patrol, me amu dia na okay.
Na me ka bebi omo bubu dan no. Amanfo no che say empatasika bia ankoso. Ya mamu empatasika bia. Compensation bia ma.
Jacoba no pre me da se. Ebetia ya ami ahwefo nyina na ye chiefo. Nyankopon anope won kai nyina wona yen kan no kre ba kope. Ema na omuwo ekwan ho se mun ka se ema na omuwo kwan ho dia. Ema omu to ade okwan ho dia, sebi mpredu asanse ye ba be ye kwan a ami compensation be na wom. Na mum edan a ye bubu ni ni ye nyina nkofo hu omu se ye demolition no. Enye ye bubu ni keke. Eye 2006 omanpanin kofo. Eji sa kwan no to ho, eye 90 meters. Say obia entwe no mfi ho nti aban ne nyansem no omo ana asase ne omo dia omo ana ajapade a ewo so ye omo dia nyina no aban tue omo ka ejakoban ye tue omo ka wie ye no aban no ye kwan ahamienu ena oja asase na eda ho no eto ho. Those days, in Sauna Mukwan, we see the pillars BSC, the end of the road, Sabia, the land that the land government acquired. No, but we see the pillars BSC is one near marking red. And that could be a unipa that's a neighbor, what you say, pillars in a few. Emma, woman, now you compensate you, mono, a sign to assassinum and crophobi. It's your tone, to assassinum. Okokan. Osi wekwani ya yewie omuni ntokwa na ya mise de bia wo kan asem bi wo se e ba ni sa no aya na municipal assembly no aya na wo hin e da ko banya sa na ya na wo kan no eti municipal assembly no wo ho but onim se obi na adwen se wo kan no wonti a wo se ne debi wo behu eti abanya tsase abanya ko omampanin Nana Adodanko Akufo Addo Nimreso. Or say year of road. Enti efi akra eko kumase no. Omampanin Nana Adodanko Akufo Addo. Na ni swade hunu ni say obetimi aye dualization. Ka kwa yenya traffic. Ka kesiye omo kwa uni ka kesiye bi echi. Obetimi di 2 hours 30 minutes edu kumase. Enti omampanin Nanado wa sha asen kakra. Wa beye pokwase interchange. Oye pokwase interchange ye no yen media fo ni ye manfo ase ofi pokwase na wo konsawa mu a traffic ni nya kra ompedi na nado se wotie ni manfo ase mu nti obomodin onabo amu akwata na ofre no na okatia ni se isawam na okatia ni se sa akwan ya efi amasaman pokwase ekonsawa mu munhwe na munye so we feel woman now call bunso a eno so omoye ani aban edi ekwan ma contract odi ma ekwan ma contract yi asase na aban di be ekwan no e wan fa ekofo agi
honorable meba o honorable kese meba wo se man pada da je ekofo aban abre so no ye ma compensation se ne panu tu free ho ba wo hwe structures ye wo ho ya eye nice building adan a e fa ye pa na ye hwe ne sisi yi ebiesi ho ache filling station wo mu ne ma hodo bebre wo mu se ma compensation a eye den ana nipa da so te wo
ye tie ni se obia ni wo ye man kwan so wo incident wo kwan no so eye right of way o ba be ye filling station a o be ko Ghana highways no akọje right of way say me see me filling station and say wo see filling station no aban asase no omo ankasa omo asase ni nyina wo ekwan na chi nyame anim nukure ni na omo kwaji right of way ni via ona dwe ni say ekwan no emma so china no na fa space na da nanim nyina enti wo fa space na da nanim nyina akoka wo say me wo permit okoka wo say o me come municipal assembly am permit obi o permit wo kwan so bia after 45 meters obi omo pa o do mo challenge Obi a wo permit e wo kwan so bia no. We after 45 meters.
Me muntwa no me pacho me pese ye tie mami yo kase na sam okan ye na fe wayi nsam na no pacho mum yeti kakra.
Okay.
2 weeks time na obi buy no be ye evaluation e wo ha ma ye obi a e na o share kwan say bo me so be tia ye nti ye nya aboto nti ye de bia na expect say at least answer no be bubu ye dan no be tia answer no be bubu ye babra me ni wo ka say omo ma ye seed mpo e na omo start bubu ye niam gudu mo e na omo bubu niam no e ye sa ye koda he fa na ye koda ye ni ba bia da e na ba be bubu ye niam gudu mo na wo bubu ye nya den ye ni ba bia da ka na so ma ye ba bi nda ye ni ba bia da wo tia ye se niam ni kwan wo si bubu boss na wo be tia da ben wo tia ye
on the my way of anything letter notification letter which was last 2 years and I'm saying value a properties no fambra for being called highways authority never bakumbra MC office no it's a value and they call no by the call on the command no I'm saying to you for some time it all my time and yeah meeting kakra yeah meeting best last week but man can't try say all about will book 9 yeah on more about no will book properties it we ask never say me in pass will be semi property my friend has to be sending eco free me no so mama didn't say
Honorable
Yakoba.
so tie mami na sam okan o se obi ba obaye evaluation and evaluation na chi no ma be bubu en na sefo why na quest evaluation no
Yeah, that's it. I'm say the anti-crowd be back by evaluation. He say, me, I took it upon myself. Say, your mom was the only one for no down there. In case of any thing, say, ABO, a buying Agya to or compensation or more near with compensation. If you know what you say, 77 need to know Timono. I'm sorry to say this is ABA, a daintia, a brosign. It's the Omubu via the case of the bomb. It is so many more young Catania take it data. Ye nimunie ye oho nyina asemo omo kan nyina omo kra bo de 77 produce aho omo memo omo because omo kra de omo nya asase omo nya fiwura enti wo a wo nya asase na wo nya fiwura no wo de wo memo kra sese no omo a omo betimi abem eye asase wura fo no a aban a compensate omo dada no a omo tan aton no en e ka so bia submit ni claims a claims na nipa no submit no enam so woni document ndi no on timi submit ni claims no no wa sha no wo ye dede omo nkasa ni musa baby omo ti no omo ebiti high tension ase ene ko me no mi ni ya sit down high tension ase
David
enti ye sit down high tension ase a wa ko sit down high tension ase a baba ye kwan high tension nkasa de ye fi ho na de ye high tension fi ho wi a wo na wo ti ho wo de obata ho de me ti se ma me no kasa ye ka ase be compensate omo ansa na ye bubu dan no ene ko omo mu biye no omo address omo mu biye no omo address say even ye be inform omo before say bubu. Nemo, I took it upon myself, said, I have to call them because the workers can confirm me or and a man can submit your letter, and my quantity. Honorable Assembly members, unit committee members, or the letters no come out, be a walk on, and that could be a family, or more person, or mobile. I'm a meeting to a minimum, the SAN, or more, or more man, or more Casasiano, be a fair baby Israel, or one Casa, official document in the way that next week, Namia. Me anga sa meba studio nyame yadomo meba studio na me di omo ya compensate omo no family by family ni abobo ni nyina so atre ewiase nyina omo mahu se aduma ni yeye no nya de yeye no kwa na ekwa ni yeye ni de so bi ye na adwen se odi ni na besi kwa no so wo ma ye nya kwa no o ma ye bibia maso de a me am jira he me nya honorable amwako ata aduma emma no na mo mesi aban ne mu enti bibia honorable amwako ata eye bia no me sina na mu se me bua na ma ya ama ade na ayeye ono mo akwata bae no be ka tro mo se obi bia wo kwa no ho na ofi se uti aban sa aseso no bo modia fi ekwan no so because e ba ba ye kwan we are clearing the road and you 10 lanes I have 5 I have 5 enti ni ye no e da ko be be sere mo me da masepa se mo bia kwan na ye cheche mo nkofo be ti ase me say up to now
okay
so obi fi se our claims be or the bar on family Gan West Municipal Assembly. You better receive no. Na yanso kwa be fa so a you better at least ama obia ni saka bibino. Menim say honorable Amakwata ni nsemo waka no. Eno ano waka. Wasi ye momodin say ye beboa na ya pe bibi ama sankofo no. Enti enya aban adin ni say obubu nkrofo dan na wo pam o mo fi dan mu. Eja Kwabena 2 years ni I am more notice 2 years.
4 years.
Enti so because yan kan kire no a eya me nwanwa.
Okay. Mamimra.
Sa ma omo yakobo omo nkaye. Say contractor na ba wo so ma hu so wo kwan no so. Enti obi a wo fi so wo bibi ye no, wo mo dia ne ye. Na ene obi ba be kan kire me so yan kan kire omo e no mo nyuma dugan no. Eja Kwabena ye du ho no. Obi asem a wo ka ni say ni no mo wadan no ye pa ye mubu. Unim ni nyina no ma machine no amfa ni sa anka dan no. Machine no amfa onipa bi amfa machine anka dan no. Ye bomodi sa ma mo 2 days 3 days. So mo fa yi omo no ma. Edan na wo ho no. Eja Kwabena Nyankopon ti enka no kura bibia nim obia no a ni no ma wadan no ma ye gugu atu agu because ye mo mu sa kwanya no. E no mo ye ye nso. Nti mi so mo ekwa na ye ye no mo ma nyina enka bom. Anope na wo ka bibi se so bi ye bibi na se wo hu so wafom a. Wonyi ntum se wafom. Ena se onipa no wonyi ntu ayi wonyanyi ntum nso a won sakra na dwen se dia meka no nya no kure onim ade eso mo ye ne se ese se omu claims no ba na omu nya omu ho abotre na aban ese wo mo na mo se aban ka so betra no watwe mo dia in the next 20 years obi anu obetu afi kwa no so
honorable order sorry muna mama ankrofo to me krata muna mama license wo ho na se muna mama permit se ankrofo entina sa side wo mo assembly no ga west muna mo ye ana se eye ada municipality bi na eye because me no say wo ho no mo no 1 2 3 municipalities ba koma kwa miensa enti se wo wani mu na se obi ehwe e na obi eka ho asem muna mama permit se ankrofo entina ho ana se dey
Jacob ye ni ma permit so bi si dan ya municipal assembly no ma permit e kwa ye fa so ma permit ni wo beba abe submit two documents ye fa bibi jacket wo ba wo beto jacket na abe submit two documents ni aka cho se kono kope ABCD bra o ma o si dan no a ye be ma ni summons na ye wo ska bi ye charge penalty wo ba beto penalty no o cha penalty bi a office we wie e da ko be obi si dan ye timi ko bubu no be 10 times o mfi yen anajo wo be du no we si nti do ba bi a ni aye din because you say enipa ebeba ye ni ma permit Ganof Gawet and someone adrejiri na kwan e hye yensa but wo be sha ni nyina ye 18 kilometers na ta 18 kilometers no minkuwa mi wo mu 13.9 meters kilometers minkuwa mi wo mu 13 kilometers ma minka ni sa nti sa 5 kilometers na ka no e Ganof eni someone adrejiri nti enya nwanwa se obi ade nani esimi so a omu ka se me na me bubu omu dan me na me bubu omu dan yankan ko sino highways crofo na ye omu adwuma contractor na ye adwuma me kwa me supervise me make sure se crofo no ma omu a omu kwa na omu yi no ma na ansa na omu bubu ade no ene na ekoso kwan so no nti se o ka permit atam dia ye ne ma permit na permit na ye ma ni nyina no enye the government akwa land no so eye after na mo menam say space dan ne mu nti no no I take it advantage no we see in the no omo submit omo document no a je omo debate nya no after 45 meters no eni within and the nyam from so bia
okay honorable it's a region for mo ne wo mo ewo twaka bi wo saa asase mo area ho no ho wo butumi ma permit mo so wo mutumi ma permit ba mo ho mo so mutumi ma permit so sanse me na bi no ma di nkomo mo kire se okwa pue mantam a omunya permit bi free ho no de adwuma bibi sa ho ampa
sa permit no mo kan land registration
yes
say efi media economy nyina no e wo ga west
okay
but so to asase wo wa just wo ko Kofodia no akọ register na de tie nie Kofodia omo ma land title omo ma dit na sa dit no de na me hu ni say omo ko Kofodia omo timi ko register asase no but so mo ba get akra omo timi register asase no e da ko land ya tintinti e be kan wa some later eti en so mo adregi e ma permit because en ko fa na ko di omo land title no mbi bia fi Kofodia e na so mo adregi e wo under eastern region eti e fa Hebron e fi Hebron a ko so mo no e yen so mo adregi e na ma permit o fi ofanko besi Festus a Ganof and ma permit. Ofi Festus eko Hebron a Ga West and ma permit. Inti nchechemu a woman no yenya ma permit but obi a woni jurisdiction.
I see. Ona bode mami fon se me say dem me dey ba o me say djuma bebre ye bebre ho wedi bebre ho ma me nya kan reko.
And that's why Mr. Midamasi.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be at the computer, but no, or the money tears, yes, I buy no empamo. The moment the abani can say, or move from claims no, and that will do our would need. We need to be or the best of meeting claims, but the American say, would ye omra on Trobi on funny Danny pictures crown on family? Found
your classic. Honorable at work and Semidasi Pinano pay.
Mr. Midasi,
Jew. Ga West a bankrachi and any edin common. Nasa compensation as some year came. Minim some phobia sum and any potemua. How when ye yeno, ye quano, ya compensate to omo. But still, omo suti a binum so tina some kind ye compensate a binum yeno. And now one move to free what ton, sir, assassin a compensate to omo, dear money powerful. You see the part I drink bonny or nipper bitrim. You find a compensation, dear mamma. Now my camera may have offers you a timmy. Na masan ton sa compensated land na ye tumi afiri so ya mam skasa benko no na masan ton ama no nti ondo ne mo hwe na akosi ni dan siso. Why do you do that? It says ya hadi suhum ya ba mo ho ye nim se adan bebre wo kwan no ho a mo so ya mam permit but still mo da so ho ye beje ya dan je permit afiri mu nsam compensation ye beje compensation na ya mo tu afiri ho anasa matena ho na edwiru ni da yin nyina agu omani ye ba ko pewu se de nema se ekoso a de bia e be keka nkrofoti abobom se ya me hwe kwan se mra ne sa binim so so hwe kwan se be ba ne sa ye nyina hwe kwan pe be fa so a ye be hwe ne sisi asem me di akiri pa next week ye ba na betena ha na fe wo mo so a because filling station wo ho ye bi sa ne se filling station ye mama na ba hotel kra ye se udwuru hotel enti sa ne ma ne ye ba mo betena fi ha ne enu ma di nkomo na de omo wo no maka na authority say se won to hwe mamra ne adwuma no wo so ye ne omo adi nkomo medam ase na no pay pa na no pay ye koba ye nkomo die ni nyina afa bebia ye duru ehu ye nkomo die ni nyina will be centered on Ghana bebia ye duru ye si kasam budget yi kanufura tanko ehu sam te sen ye si Eastern region MPs 2 bi F support so wo mo e kan say Ken must go no enu ti no amafo start say ye bo won ti so ye be pamomo ye be momo lusu empanyifo bi frefro mu etwi omoni nasefo. We are practicing democracy. I'm quoting Honorable Eugene Boachi Entry. Or say, we are practicing democracy, not monarchy. E be din komo papa ben for betenase. Na hwe sikasam. Se nema bo ehwiri kosoro a eso koto ade kwa na yam hyehyew. Wonim se dia wo gina ho a na yatum. Hwanyan ye di ehwa bro se Ganafo ana se de na ekoso ye be hwe na edisasem no nkomo na ye bisa se anye bia bebi oman ekure no endida so bi ewo babi ana na ya hwe MPs no so na mamutu ye no na yaka ho asempa na bampenda da mahama so na ono so ne sem okan ye ene do susu saba na ye betumi aboa ene na adwempo ne susu ye nyina na ye behwe okina mampenda na do ne ye bekasa anwumre no nwotwe asame no ne ye babeka enti eno so ye bedi ho komo madama mo ntwa mi wa hu na mi ntwa mo kakra na abidwafo no ba ya jebre pa ne adusum ye basisi ai.
Oh, a lot of things about the
okay. Okay.
Issue.
Awie adeshima ma yeda mo ase ekoto nkra bedwafo ekra do ntine ne yede be hihye so yene mo tena kopem se ebebudu ba ko nti mo nhya no so pa mo adwen kyere mo susu yenso mo de ba ebrebe mo abagebre na makenkan wan kan so na mo amakenkan a ye nyina ye ncha adwene na ansa na no ene okokyera me nua ye Dr. Obeda Santi ye kwanchefo pani a oda Ghana Nuts Limited ano ogya ne mamekwan e wo kyera e obuno mantamu enti me nua Obed anopai bema shedding papa woni anuanu nyina na menum se yakopon ado ye nyina beta wachi na yaye amana efe nti Obed once again bema shedding papa anye asam ketu akra na ena no pensu michia aburihene otubo jankwasi miwura memo acha no pei meja wi no di mijao na wa mama hu se yewu wo se je bi waje bi tiase wo de dada yi sia na so wo de ente saa wo se je bi waje bi tiase na otiase no so no ohwe de awaja no ama no no enti koso ahwe saa me ha wadwene saa famisa so be the stubborn boy famisa kakra ni se ebe enti otubo jankwasi aburihene no pei memo achi echia wo no watra ko nyina na umpanyimfu nyina michia papa na ana no pay kasa no make kasa no demolition exercise course yi obi the message bi asende me na tie ni pa yesi asinfosu wo mo ye highway no is it asinfosu I should think so yes yeah asinfosu wo mo ye highway no wo mo bu nkrofo kwan na compensation no nipa ne ye disika na ma wo mo ese wo de ma wo mo affected victims no nipa ne person disika na ma wo nipa ne ebubu omo dan na wie no de odi animu a abande oman no de sikama ne se compensation ni no se ye toso nkrofo na ani na mo we are coming after you pa se no kwese dis kana mam na mo se mo mfa ma wo ye bubu omo dan na mo ntwan ye beba it's time say ye man nipa bi e feel say wo mo feel say sabi wo mo ye smart pa no ye show say ye smarter na ye san nkrofo ni nyina no ye go mo nim ase mako no manage na so what am I no thank you very much enti ena no pesa na ebe no na ena ye nkomodi ebedie no se medi kan ekan ye no menya ne tie se yese aban kra de sika ama ba stock for se aduane nkwada bedi o school no wo mo hwe na wo mo nya hu bibi aban edisika ma I think say me hu press release bi enra kwasi kwaten a wono na ye bedwom kasamafo de ma asoye hwe omusu onsam so no wono na ne sa hyase se aban ada ne sika ade ma bafa stock for se kwala ne nuane omudo school no yemfa emma enti ye hwe kwan se enuane a enkwada no bedi bia no omusa betumi aka na boa ama humasua ene ade kire so akoso but ye fa adwene nko university say public ones no so adwumayefo hu nyina so ati o mate no ye ho ade na akokọ ese primary school no mate atua na GHS wo ho de GHS fa atua na primary school wo na SS fa atua na we no wo na university for na ntino de bia we ni na we no ntino ema humasua entumi enko so smoothly. Something really needs to be done. Na na no pempenfo a be hia ofia me no be di nkomo no na me be da omadi ede akire mu yi wohwe minifa so pe eye Dr. Kwame Asante wono oye director Center for European Studies University of Ghana oyokropongni akora aba
Ewuraba
na hotere
ni akani
ebi wo me hu ade mere nso
me wo ho Agya me wo mapadi amuara metwa abe
otwa abe nti se ntunkuma na sa ye
o efe na mapo
afe na mapo
enche
ntunkuma baba
o you me fi aseto mensa me you ahata nzuro
aka tunkuma makai baby na me mohudi na chire beka ho asempa
mo na uba
asembaba
yanzu ya bebo ne mabi
you can ya sompa de dada ba nti ono onimu abetwa onimu ho hwe
yetwa no onom
aha ya sompa so emre nimu ni na sikasem so abin omu kakra fine pa oyedua ya nkwanta de hye na naboache tromo de hye kronkron no na kwaba
Agya medase
bi aboko
ya menadum na so
atom
ye chetie phone na so
sa hu na me hu kwa me hu wache kakra fine
me hu wache
me esiso hu me
oh
yes.
me hu ewo dwumadie so na ye hia ya che
me hu wache but do hu me na mo hia no hia me ache excellent nana boache tromo
Oh, okay. Me
o person kwa Mensa Thompson executive secretary Edema Asepa do person kan ya ma ne hye ni trim nana boache tromo de ne nana boache tromo ono ayedu akwanta hene Mensa bibia aboko
na me adom Kwame.
ye de ready ase ye from Kwabena
Sorry.
yes me din edachi obi adin wo wi ase
ne akakakra na ya o
o say
mpachoto ase
o Kwamra enye de sen Ewurade din o Onyankopon no de Kwame din bi enu e lesson
na ono ka so de Kwame
oh winim komisa kwa da bi
ono de Kwabena na ono person obeka semo na maka share say Jesus Christ ono say when the birthday am the birthday man by force no aso kan bi anyway ye hwe ya mama sha se mfiri wo so na ye hwem se ye di komo ofia aba omai economy ho ya ka ho asem aka ka ana bedu bebi eduri ye ka na enu bebi aye wo yi ana bebi ewo ni aya wonwa se dia ye kan ye komo ye di eni nyina no wo yesi anan so se enye wonwa
Agya me da se ne sa question ya wo say me sha se no meka ne say oman no se bia koye se abusuafo ko aye e wo kwantenten a omunim ba bia omoko na omakokra kwantin fi na se bi obia ni enim ba bia omoko no na omuni panyi bia e be kire ne kwan nanso amaimu kwantin fi na omakokra no obia kire omo amuntie
okay
and amo mine mutna ya Jacob na wadaroma mpacho hwewe na kan title no ma me hwe na date
is Ghana borrowing and debt stock sustainable
mpacho
date you know I said we Ghana web date you know Friday 30th October 2020
mpacho hwan na hwe di
ya sompa that is Friday October 30th 2020. Nti be ko be mfemienu.
Mfemienu pepe enra.
Oh, okay.
Actually, some media houses publishing on 29th, which is exactly my birthday.
Oh,
and
okay.
then menye 35 years.
Oh, young man.
Eja nkomo no
akura wotiri nkwa.
Me da say.
Yo, what the mo.
Me sha see fi ha. Na okan ya same way this is 2 years ago. Eja Kwabena say me am fi Duan Kwanta ko Duan Kwanta Local Authority Junior Secondary School. Enim say na ye 2 years ago na ye nto aba. But we heard the figures 2 years ago eja na baby aye yadrui. Na sebi unhia say obehye spectacle na wahu. At the time, and my church figures no wahanti. Let me just run through.
Sure.
At the time, near say ye kanyina ye de 263 billion.
That was 2020.
This is July 2020.
Okay.
263 billion. Osha na domestic car ye de ewo mine mu 125. Car ye de afofro aya mine fofro mu 138 billion. That was 52.4% of yeka. Ohe krata ya metwe ya asem no potin ne say uka wo de more than 50%. Now CD over the years no ohe the last 20 years CD na kamia say afibia no ekofom na okikamba ma emfie numbia no ohe the trend is exponential u CD beko forma na chese unhia sebi unhia dunsini no aka kire o say u CD ni kofom nti ka wo de afoforo no ebekosoro ne kosra uka no unsustainable. Agya Kwabena, that time no IMF kroya in April 16, 2018. 2018 sebi na COVID mae. 2018 na Ukraine Russia enye na jinso beto bomba bobia. I'm quoting the IMF. It says based on the updated microeconomics projection, Ghana remains at high risk of external debt distress.
That was 2018.
2018 16th of April 2018. Now, in 2020, right when COVID came, economists wrote an article, named 5 countries, Angola, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Zambia, at the high risk of default. Now, that was before election. Between now it was 40 days to election.
Necessarily, the way it's because of COVID, before COVID.
Before COVID.
It's not say binu muka say sikano o man sika sam tutu ya no.
Before COVID. Sure. The conclusions were far on the wall. Inti me busame wo say inti yedru ha no yedru ha because sebi boapaye anana enimdie na na yeni. The two conclusions me gini me enu nyina to me enye ye. Because sebi animdifo a man mu chen ye mu bi sebi omo a ohwa omodo oman wo oman ni mu ewa amanyose mu esen ye mu bi nti aba ne sen na asa 2 years ago 2 years article Ghana Wem, it's a public document. 2 years ago these were evident all over the world na ye ba ban mu ya I mean abaya was iba mu no one the priority one to restructure its debt. Saying they are trying 2 years till it's gotten to crisis level. Even that at the May, na ya say a baby biafa ho. And I say you try say a baby na anye. Me who say o man cheche eye din bebre sa. Of course, a here jumadin, but utin ya wo ya say asebi. Adwuma ne nya den sa. Meka mna ko si say empen bebre no o he Ghana nyini ya 60s, okay, 60s ni na bom now average a growth rate. In the 60s, Ghana in bear about 2.3, 70s 1.4, 80s 2.0, 90s 4.3, in the 2000s 5.4, and then from 2010 to 2020 about 6.8. But check up now, the woman yani say Ghana at the time I rebasing in 2016. Now your debt to GDP is 74%. Na a concern say ye care Dawson as a 2016 and na sabi omo munim ngoma rebasing they say near this so o man nyina nyini no ya sesa abose no near sesa no and all of a sudden your GDP debt to GDP by 57%. If we 74 canon say yo cannot say near na but if we move 74 about 57 and your broke can be good so. Agya nti ubuza say eye menwanwa da bia enya menwanwa
ya
obi a wanhu bia no a sebi ya fo na adwuma mu say eye na adwuma say wo so hu no mide ne ho ya
wo sama o kan nyina no wo se July 2029 is kind there na 260 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah, 63 billion.
63 billion Ghana cedis. And the kana ye there. Domestic near 125 million. And amanone there 138 million. And as at April 2018 no.
Yes.
Na IMF for na ye ko mun chain no. E boy ye kokose. Ye sika sam tutu no. Enko ye bro ka do.
High risk of external debt.
Yes, amano busa ye bro no. Busa na koso dodo. IMF for some mo ka no kukuam. Anaso mo ka ma empanyifo te say we na ekoso mo hwe na munya hu bibi ana o mo ka na keke say ye dia ka kyrem ti na bo ye bia munya mfa
mfa. It was in the I think the 15th or 16th review of the last program. Time a ye be fi sa program no mu. It was part of the review.
Okay.
It was part of the review.
Okay.
Uye no fi was an American economist is a journal and in the four economist named African countries are omo big defaulting. Ghana was on the list. Sebi me assure say obi a onim no o man edi o man na chibia nim say I was here bibia yesronko. Yes a baby e drui. And now kan ya tena ha di nkomo we sa. Asem ya make me assure say maka no akwan hodo bebre so sa. Yen nyina yanyintum say o man ne chechire no. Baby a keka akodru no ya ni bresem se na American na say ekọ aye a ya koyira okwan so yenim baby ayeko ba yen say ntie afutuo nka ho
me da say ya o say ntie afutuo enka ho na me de baby sa Dr. Asante say doc wo so ba fie ha me yedi nkomo pa afa yesika sabu ya kan wansam aka say de ekodi say de ekodi say na me bisa ya wo no say aye no nwa no wo so aye nwa say Ghana baby e duru ni a ese no say ye pio say ye sheho say ye danyu ayo won say ye du baby ye duru
oh eja kwamra fa cheme mamema atiefo ne ahwefo achen iyo ene won edo station a da bia da na da wotie mu nsam ne a woka no enya menwa ene den esa ne say na nsankyere ne wo ho ene den say na yemu bia yen asua manyosam no yehu se okwan na anamon na yen afiase to ha na yebewie enunti bibia no na ye kasa ne ayenim wa amanyasam mu no ye kira aban ne aye kani se ubetumi afa ye adwuma yew won a won asua oman kontaa enini oman sika ne ho kontaa ne nhyehyɛ meka economy and economics ho nneman won so ba monten so be kire yese na ni nyina mu no na yehu no se na yese sebe aban no ode na so aye ne men ontie yo eninti woka ontie ekoso kosi bra yeto abawie yanga to awie niema fi asese afede eni redan afede ayenyane nti nkrofo ba aban yese eremu ayen mi woni se obeye aban ko na adwuma so na de nga bedua yi na nya menwonwa yanga yenga asua manyasam no ye hwa ye wo governance indicators susu dua ye di susu aban se be yo enye yo ye susu awo yanga manyasam no ba ko ya ye hwe no ye hwe wo ayi wo friend den inflation so no man sika nkonta na ne nhyehyɛ no ne fa bi no se nete na wo hwe inflation a menye economist o nti me kira madwene kakra nti eno na mpese ahwafutie wo hwe afia yesi mu 2022 wo hwe July inflation Ghana 31.7 wo hwe August 33.9 wo hwe September 37.2 South Ase yen hwe Togo won aye no won bobo hwe wa ha no yen hwe se ekoden wo hwe Togo July 6.9 wo hwe August 6.9 wo hwe September 7.9 Burkina Faso July 18.2, August 18.10, and September 16.5. Côte d'Ivoire 5.4 July, 6.2 August, 6.3 September. Nigeria July 19.6, August 20.5, September 16.7. What you say dia near you try say yan hay na kosoro dodo.
Na yende sense.
If July 31.7.
So July na Nigeria.
Na Nigeria they 19.6.
Okay.
Togo they 6.9. Burkina Faso 18.2. Côte d'Ivoire 5.4.
Nti Côte d'Ivoire dey na so.
Yeah. Ghana near August 33.9.
Ghana 33.9.
9. Na yeba Togo 6.9. Nearby Burkina 18.1. Nearby Côte d'Ivoire 6.2. Near Nigeria 20.5. South Yase. Near September Ghana 37.2. Nearby Togo 7.9. Nearby Burkina 16.5. Nearby Côte d'Ivoire 6.3. Nearby Nigeria 16.7. And nunti na hu say osuto for my dengamai. South Yase. Yo. Efe yensusu dua ba ko a governance scholars ye hwe corruption perception index. Keta se hye ne pro ne ho niama. Na afiase so what you say? Ewom abengi de oyi akugu awiem. Ye niama bi. Or the mrabai or the office of special prosecutor no mo ne niama. Yes, oroko. Na emom wo Transparency International. One report watch fi metam fi 2013 besi 2021 mabobo kakra kire ahwefo ya 2013 also corruption perception index ayo Ghana 46%.
And me check
2013 yeah
okay
46%.
2014
48
38
2015 47
okay
2016 43. Yan 2017 40.
2017
40. 2018 41. 2019 41. 2020 43. 2021 43. Inchemo wo mun saadi ne se susu dia bi a wode hwe keta sehye ne pro na wo kire se won a kire mu wo ben ohunu zero wo ya tese corruption no went to manko.
Okay.
Wo ben oha we clean. After. Yan 46. Why NDC for time. John Mahama ba office in 2013. So what you say? Ofi ase 46. Yan Nana fi ase an 2017 40. Na when na ben koro ayi wo friend 0. 40 ben 0. Sing 46. E kire say na e moye homodin o corruption na ben what na meka nko fu figure na 40 na e won so we no ne dabi wo kan wo ma na o ma interpretation o kirase
enche say 40 no e wo fam
o se we wo ben 0
wo to me ko a na wadi nkunim na say 90 e ko
de 100
e wo na excellent
you dem mark no
100 na say wo mfimfin kakra ho
dabi enye ho kra na wo hwe nia se wo de toto ho a me de ade abi na toto ho so what you say ni oben 0
no ben okay
ono no ye ayo ontumi anko corruption
okay nti 40 na ntumi
anko nti wo hwe 2013 John Mahama fi ase na abang na ase na wo hwe Nana 2017 46 and 40 ne ben na when ne ben 0
40
aha just ontumi anko yen hwe ayi wo friend den wo nyina wore ko wo si form no John Mahama si form 2016 so what you say na abang ba wie corruption then yeah 43
okay
Nana first term no 43
okay
so what you say
only na 43
wo hwa sa ne man ya ne kire wo no say John Mahama call 2014 48 na wo soro pa Nana highest 43 John Mahama abang no ni lowest 43 eno na Nana best
wow John Mahama ko a okon pa sha ne proye no ono wanya de kura no ene mapeni nanado ne dia wanya de
papa ne mro so asemni ni yen hwe 2021 yen fi ase 43 oben 0 went to mango eyi kire yen se sing to bi wo ho
okay
kata se shop ene pro yɛn ntumi amfa nyɛ adwuma papa na ɛnu nyinaa keka bom so wo hwɛ abɛni ɔman sika nkonta ne hyehyɛ na fi akɔfom nneɛma yɛ de no wɔka kyerɛ aban wuti aban kasa o se ne ministers nyinaa na aso afo no wɔbɔ wɔn modern pa so wote o se wɔn ayi wɔn ahokekan ɛnyɛ modern kɛkɛ excellent
na sa figures ya wo kan no wo minim
oh wo mi an computer egu so ɛna kuse offer ade ɔde kyerɛ wo mi a wo benya transparency
ɛyi wo kan no ye wo ɔkwan ɛfa so de ko katasha ne pro ye wo strage wo ho ye wo yoko wo ho ɛna mampani na nado ɛde special prosecutor
ɔbɛhwɛ mu den
nti so the special prosecutor ba na sɛ ne ko no obi a oni special prosecutor etumi ɛko kyɛn no de a ɛna na
asɛm ni nti ɛba ne dan
okay
so wodi eyi ne ne aka no toto ho a ɔman sika nkonta ne nhyehyɛ a wobi sɛ wo hwɛ figures yi a inflation figures na aban kyerɛ sɛ wotie yɛnwura mampani a also owura wɔ friend den finance minister no yɛnwura forata why ade pa wa bɔ no ho modenga na ɔmani agina na nanso menya economist o na mitia asɛm na mbisa mo sɛ saa asɛm bi asi wɔ Ghana politics mu da bisa mi sɛ esi da ban bra buzi a wɔ hɔ no buzi a abango nsankyɛ na sojafo wotu no na buzi a de nneɛma bi gu fam ɔde yɛ ɔman no wotu ne nti yɛn ante na bɛso abapa wɔ akyɛmpɔn bere so nneɛma yɛhu wɔ akyɛmpɔn bere so no bebree yɛ buzi adwuma na wayɛ ɛso abapa wɔn sɛ politics owura kufuo kɔ asase mo tu oil na ofie konwa so NDC wɔbae no wɔbɛto oil wahu obi bɛyɛ na obi ato aso nti akyɛmpɔn buzi a nneɛma no so aba ɛnu nti akyɛmpɔn benya enyonyam wɔ nipa nim so akyɛmpɔn ɔyɛ sɛ
operation feed yourself
yɛn a yɛsu amanyɛsɔm no hu sɛ saa nneɛma no bebree ne yɛbuzi a nneɛma na so aba wɔ hɔ is ɛnedan bra saa nsɛm no ɛho ba asɛm so economy no ayɛ den sika nsɛhyɛ ayɛ den akyɛmpɔn hu kotokua no mfa kora enhye na wo bisa wo se sɛ wo na wo de saa de ne gu awiem a egu akwanma ade na wo ni anu adu wo hu sɛ na de eje ne nsɛm
wo na wo de ade ne ba ya ka wo mo kwan ba fa so
document e bia na me medwene yɛ mfomo so wo mfa nkyɛ me kama yɛ sɛ nia na MPP na time first 10 no wo se wo bo wo ho modern wo yɛ sɛ no wonye ni sɛ ɛyɛ World Bank sa schemes na wo de gu abɔnten na so aba na boya won bra ye fi ayi wo friend Mahama no call ayi wo friend IMF wo boya won no afei wo be so mu wonye ni sɛ ɛno na so aba
the previous administration
bra afei ne ayɛ den no enya won afei wo hu kotokua no mfa kuranhye nkunta na ba ko ni ebia ne ameka yɛ mfom so sɛ wo te ase sɛ nya mfom so ya yiwu aba ne den na mpampa gu afusu sɛ mo na mo yɛ no ya aden na sɛ na biribi ya won kasa ne sɛ wo sɛ hwɛ ɛyɛ Russian Ukraine war
covid
hwɛ wɔn a yɛ no wɔn bɔ hye wa ha yi covid na ka wɔn Russian Ukraine bombo kɔ so nsɛm ɛhu nsunsuanso yɛ ka wɔn na adan ne yɛn de te sɛ bibi ntwɛye na ne yɛn ntwɛye no ɛyɛ nneɛma bebree ne yɛdi kam sika fa yɛn nsɛm gu fam wɔ mɛn ha wo hwɛ Auditor General report sika yɛkɔpɛ bu sie sɛ yɛyɛ yɛn nneɛma yi a yɛbɛtumi so bia no yɛahwɛ me afi yɛn nsa egu efe wo hwɛ corruption keta sɛ na pro figures a ɛba abɔnten a sɛ yɛ so mu ya anka yɛbɛdu ha efe wo hwɛ waste sɛ yɛnhwɛ na sika yɛmfa nyɛ ne yɛte sɛ na sika sɛi yɛnhwɛ ne yɛ no aboro yɛn so saa nneɛma yi akoa tia yɛn na mfi ase ne afi ase de daadaa na efe na agye ntini anyin aso aba ɛno nti yɛn ne yɛbɛwie wa ha yi nti wo hwɛ saa nneɛma ya ɛne ne yɛkeka ho a na afei wahu amanyɔsɛm no da bia wɔn a esua economics no wo esua wɔn ade no ho ne na yɛwɔ ne yɛfrɛ no political economy sɛ wote ase wo hwɛ politics no na wo hwɛ economy no na wo hwɛ politics ɛka ho efisɛ nyɛ economics no nko a wo hwɛ saa variable no saa susu dua baako no nso wa hwɛ na die na wo bua fira yiwu na ɛhɔ nso na hu sɛ awi abani efisɛ wusum kwadua wo asum brɔde ɔkɔm bɛbɛ nti bia obenya no saa hɔ no na wo keka saa nneɛma nyina abom a ɛno na akoa tia yɛn ne ahaw yɛn koraa na sɛ amanyɔsɔm no yɛsɛ yɛ dialogue wo bɛka no manka democracy ɛne den ɛyɛ dodo amamu sɛ wo me to me be ma na se wo ya de a me kire madwene tie na so pam eyi afa ye adwuma so eno na ban de ye adwuma nkrofo bebre kasa wakasa niema nkoye wo hwe wo ngasua omman sika nkonta na nhyeje wo doso bebre wo man mu ha nti ade a mebisa mo ho se ade nge be bi ha ade nti na mebisa so asam hwe ye ti omman mu ha
yes sir
ena yesu se economy mu ayeden omman mu ayeden na ye wakrachefu a wo ngasua economics wo ngasua finance so wo wanfa adem ena se nipa nyina ho na fe ngani atatensu me no wo man hu na president kufuo odi seed koto dollar so wo kai sa
yes
won aye se nkonya no ne ye ya wo mu ne se ye ngawura ban yedu ne nga hwere no won aka nyina ho owura kufuo no kura ewurade nchaade oti ase won a wodi wo yi sa nkonya no wa MPP wo wo ho ekoto se no mo ne ho ne ama na wo wo hi na nsure mene ye ni tanga asem ni so wo ti ase hwa ka chefu a won asu economics aya wo from radio so a wundie wo kire se nam bi se ne ye de ne se wo kire de wo university ya ban university a ban betuma ton sa afra won se momra me wuranom se ye dua kono mommu ya omani na ye nyina ye nan so wo ti ase wo ba buam me na maka kire wo hwe nanse ye ngatete Ghana fo mma bi a won ne mu aman ahoro so no wo ye nkonya obaako wo Nigeria ku adwuma okuram ne ho ne ye wo ni bebre wa ha
abante bi kura koje abasobɔ kese bi power manone a
nti bibi se adenti na ye nhwehwɛ sa nipa nyina emmoa no na o se hwɛ mi wura no mu se ye ngadu akono mommoa ye me kaja
Oba ya pa medase Dr. Sana yete ne kan ma me commence Thompson so na me sanse mensa ya kan nyina no iskasam to ye ho asam ne ye kan ne o man ne kekere ne kan kronti ne ye kan wasam but Dr. Kasem bi na sam o kan na mpesa me gina so na me bisa sa question se amamuo adwento ato a ye chewadwe na me kire ma adwene we de na adwene ba na wosu na adwene ba ye ka bo mu a na fe ya bo no boa na ya so ne so na fe hu de e be boa yen na ya fa so far bebe ya duro yi no wogidi say tie no bi antie ni yesa ya o Kasem bi asa 2018 na IMF aka say yesi kasam tutuye no bebe e kɔ no bisa no dosoro do ya hwe ani tua no ebe ye den bibi to si o baby bibi ni anya ni o baby ana medu baby ya dure
yo Kwabena medase mamencha wotie for ene anopay eja aye no ma miensa ene de aba bedu baby ya dure di kan aye kita se hye ne proye se de Dr. Asasante di kan a chiremu no de toso mienu aye banks a ye collapse no in 2018 na ye ka ho asema abayantie ina de toso miensa aye de fe no financial misreporting ina de abedu bebia edu na ma menchirem corruption de Dr. Asa edi kan chiremu enti menkom bebre ma men started free the collapse of banks eja on say the financial sector is the engine of the economy. And every economy, so you will be a friend of buffers, economic buffers. Buffers, ne say, a idea a so was sene, nema wo economy no a grounded. It is a bibipo a pusua, a your buffers no, bibi pusu kakrebia buffers no, and no nebema wo, either say ubeto form, and as ubi jinaho. Buffers no na so was say. Inti eno and stabilize the environment against external shocks, both external and internal shocks. The collapse of banks no erode serious capital. And your capital ko erode serious a lot of the buffers are na aso your economy na se. Afei adwuma a eseye people lost money, people lost jobs, investment, savings, and it eroded a dear bakopa friend confidence. Confidence ni a reshemu a timamofo wo e wo economy nim eni gidia nkofo wo so omdi omusika ba be share economy nim. So obi anya gidia amfa ni sika me share economy nim a economy no wo ye na hwe ya enyiyi. So you eroded all these things with a problem na nka obetimi de 9 billion per asolve. Ukobo obosia 22 billion. A collapse bank saying ko for dwuma basa. I may be seen there. Nipa bebre almost enka almost sika. E ma no so the home problems bebre. den
aba
if we be financial misreporting
na but say dia wo kan fa banking sector cleanup you know aba so kire say sankwanya ne saa anka mafo dwetira mafo sika ba hyenya sanketwa ebema omani sika sam I asai kura that is pay aba na sam kan ti a what the yes cleanup exercise no enti na no no
Agya Kwabena you know you see enti that was not the only way to solve the banking sector problem. Agya Kwabena the banking sector banks no they were not insolvent too. They were under liquidity challenges. Enti the aban ade bako ana aban betima ye ne say aban na nkasa na siko banks ni nyina hia a be so mase 9 billion. Enti aban na nkasa betima kopɛ 9 billion. Na wo de aba say sa 9 billion banks na me de mamo. Na man run banks ni ye e na ma banks na kwa ahohia mu. Enti wo hia sika no me de sika do say so wase. But because of sika aban dia so wase no ntino ye de sika no ye inject sika no as equity said the beya aban benya shares of bank nim na aban enya representative or board so na aban aboa ma bank na gina
yes aban sika de amamo no nyese mo na better run number obe take oversight responsibility of the
banks na gina ye wi a bank na run adwuma wo ho aban wo shares nkasa me bank say gu nyina ka aban wo shares wo ana say the second option is now say akaban betma mo paper bond aban betma mo paper a bond worth 9 billion obey issue my banks no the banks will go to the capital market with that government guarantee until aban say okay mpese mo 9 billion but minisika say it mama mo bond mo call capital market this one investors no because there's a government of Ghana guarantee the investors will lend to you intinka private people will lend to the banks at the back of government guarantee. It will be say it come bond is just a piece of paper, just a piece of paper. It just a piece of paper. And can buy be issue the banks no to go to the capital market and raise money to support the banks no. And no na e ya buying ding. And no board bosia 22 billion. E the go banks no e sen ko fo djuma e erode capital, e erode confidence ana. Enti problems aye hu no say no. E banks na ye go no. Ehun susanso ni bi na afa start so aba ehun susanso ni bi no e na say so aba because economic policy to the dog kind it doesn't germinate in just a day. You see the results after 3, 4 years, 5 years that you start seeing the impact of the policy. And it's saying 2018 this is the 4th year of the banking sector cleanup, sorry the 3rd year. It's ehun susanso na started and me one of the people amaka say the problems are banking sector cleanup no cost it will take us 10 years to recover. Until who so this is just the beginning. Agya Kwabena me financial report misreporting no. Agya Kwabena sa finance minister yi nienti a yenya bre pa also ko baako e financial misreporting. We can financial misreporting and the aperture ne say yen economy no figures and I say indicators a chere economy ni gina bre no won kan dokre wum de ye A or say B de ye C or say D into painting a wrong picture a good picture of the economy chere nkofo but the correct figure na you wrong. What can I say in 2019 IMF for be one ye say the finance ministry have misreported our deficit figures. You can't deficit you purchase say revenue abayenya any sika odi ye no afibia no Ghana de because say sika for enti yesika ye di no edoso chen sika yenya enti the difference between a to aban benya any sika aban di no any effect deficit de bia no aban no de odi sika mpo a wonya ye enti say aban revenue difference 10 cedis aban spending 20 cedis. Into the difference 10 cedis na your deficit. 2018-2019 can write up a say your deficit figures are 3.0 and 3.4 under the core parliament. And IMF for the catcher say there be your deficit figures na wrong. Your actual deficit in 2018 was 7.0 and in 2019 7.4. Deficit no, the larger the deficit, the more challenging it is. That just say, deficit na so that is our problem can see. But they were telling the IMF say your deficit figures no form. Later, IMF for say it is because they treated the banking sector payment costs and the energy sector payment costs as below the line items. I said, how do you treat these two huge components of your expenditure as below the line items? But because one person with deficit, it looks smaller. Because you're passing law in parliament, so your deficit should not cross 5% of the year. Until one person, they be almost massage figures, no? So the better to be below 5%. To show the international market say, oh, your deficit no form, and then we are doing well. That was one of the problems. Sa no mana koswa enti external market no no problem agana ye kom. As far back as 2020 and IMF warn our debt levels nyina no. Now they didn't really know the other indicators. They said all these little things that they were massaging. Eja kom na unim say nansen ya. Ye started IMF engagement ya. Sa kanoforata ya sa akotwa IMF ntro about your economic indicators. You started afeno, 2022 budget I was submitting my parliament. Look at your parliament say at the end of the year, our GDP is going to end at 509 billion Ghana cedis. That's the size of our GDP. As at the end of 2022, your projected GDP or the GDP projected growth or actual GDP you are going to get at least 5.9 billion. When the IMF started engagement October, IMF one say you say your deficit no in October no, and you say you call 509 you could do 590 billion. Who could you say 590 billion anyway? In what capacity? You be saying I will say, oh, say your currency no depreciate into your current your friends say GDP growth no o converting with the current exchange rate with the when about 81 billion extra billion now the back GDP no. Why not the kind of as accounting no? This is what we call creative accounting. And when a normal meaning to kind of yes no. Because IMF I hint some by idea for debt restructuring. Debt restructuring say both a can many ya into me into abosiano. In time for some beboa na ye ka ye de honto to ye no o ma asise no ye
o ma kire kwa
be fa so betia into say ebia de ebe so ne no on be say okay ye be yada ye be extended payment period na mamo extension of maturity extension and your friend say ye be ma ebia your friend say holiday for interest payments anasade. So they will help you restructure the debt so that the fiscal space to be able to continue to grow or to run the economy. There were two indicators. Say or mind be here debt restructuring. One indicator is the debt to GDP ratio. Your debt to GDP ratio. So they take your debt as the numerator and your GDP as the denominator. They divide and they get a figure, a percentage. Now, so what the 509 billion no calculate a debt to GDP ratio. Our debt to GDP ratio is over 90%. But what the 590 no calculate it is 68%. Not just our form. So they use the 590 billion to calculate the debt to GDP ratio and tell the IMF say, oh, your economy you're fine. 68%. Debt to GDP ratio is 68%. So we won't really need debt restructuring. The economy say you cannot ensure that these are more boy and more is a credit pay. You bet run the economy. Which is we did know it's a blatant lie. They are also you know, sir, GDP figure. And when they calculate a dear friend no revenue to GDP ratio. Revenue to GDP ratio ni and na IMF for share. A todo do a wunya no economy nim no. Not just other economy no. We see kasem ye. Sikado do by economy nim. So what the 590 billion calculated revenue to GDP ratio, you get 14%. What this shows ni say e wo form just 14%. Into afema ko catch IMF one say Ghana your problem yes bosia bebre ne abo. Enye say ye na corruption na say sikasem enye ye ne ntoto economy ni ye na mom timamofo ni ntuato. People don't pay taxes. Look at our revenue to GDP ratio, just 14%. But
is it not true some from petrol to ya?
Ejakwabna. A two Ghana for 12 Chroma say, no, you talk it. Speak to the businessmen. wo de ko restaurant e chire ha yakoto aduane ni am printing receipt ma wo be wono to do a wo tua so ade bia beto kroma bia eto agusu se bem say masa ko twa nto akire IMF ne say your debt to GDP revenue to GDP ratio is 14%. In the Ghana for nto ato. And they say IMF program now IMF MI program. So because we catch up say problem near to on people go 20 no. The next IMF program no is going to be aggressive on taxes because that catch up say people don't pay taxes. Okay. So those are the critical problems.
Okay. Let me
So you see, yes, sir. So this is the problem that we have about the misreporting. The actual war, I must say, problem now say. In 2021, all the warnings started by IMF catch say, or more program be a debt service suspension initiative, DSSI. A programmer, IMF watch out to no more debua countries be say, why? Oye country a ka emene no obetimi abe sign onto that program DSSI. The IMF had voted $5.7 billion no omo chama countries no. That time no your debt to GDP ratio was about 82 no indicator back omo dey share your debt service to as a percentage of your revenue nti afibia no ojeje eto wo krom ha nyina emudu do say na de tua to nti total debt service and amortization Ghana na ye 82%. Na che say je to a wo krom ha nyina ye de mu 82% ko tua bosia. And even in salaries, these are bank or bosia fee the local commercial banks to pay salaries. And I'm a force so we are going to help you. Countries are not more there less sign onto the DSSI program.
Yeah, sign.
Can you fight us on yet?
Yeah, reason is saying.
Can you fight us on yet because I'm a force say once you sign up onto the DSSI program you can't go to the capital market to borrow.
Okay.
Can you say one quiet because can you the data bank?
Okay.
Because what the Bobusia into Ghana Bobusia be because or benefited from Bosana ye bonitino.
It's uncle you
no said by young Bobusia man. When you have people whose personal interest is conflicting with the interest of the state.
But yeah, Papa Mensa Thompson. Now we are my now so maybe some question be unim. I am afraid no man ko share no. At the pebi ne pese be free mu ba. Man penya share bo say at the pebi free mu ba. Man penya share bo say I am afraid ye kwe no. Ebe mo man se kasama tumi gina. Finance minister aka, vice aka. Just say almost everybody in the government aka. Na tie Dr. Kwame Pianim aye obi a wabi osikase mu pa MPP pani pa. No say IMF negotiations are not going on well. Dr. Kwame Pianim ne or say IMF negotiation are not going on well. Yeah. Now someone what can you just say renowned economist Kwame Pianim has revealed that Ghana's negotiations with the IMF are not going well. According to him, the fund wants President Akufo-Addo to publicly admit that the economic trajectory of the country is in dire crisis, thus needs support. Now just say consider say to me a konokra na some kan nti yanhwe se mapenya ja to say ye wo haw nti se waka no dem bi na ohwe kwan so beka se de mensa nso kan se de ye ka no se ye to de ye ntua de a and o ma ye hye a ebe ma ye tua to nti ma to no abe ye bebre and Dr. Kwame Pianim some okay no we just say IMF aye no ma hye bi be fi ma ba am ho tuma hin
eja sebio se o ma mewu na so wada na be frame se minyane na ni nyane nyeye because wawu na so wada ade be chen obesori me ahwe nkomo no se wan gye antum ba bia wo na and I think that that's one of our biggest problems as at now. Say hunu say baby I want is a crisis and fortunately to say metia fanu nimienu nyina almost everybody seems to concede say we're in crisis. MPP ni NDC communicators nyina almost seem to suggest and agree that we're in a crisis. This crisis was long in coming. Nye eneneba started boy by ache. Inti what I hear Pianim to be saying Sebi IMF no numbers, need data, need facts, need the age. Inti, what I hear him to be saying is an admission on the part of the state and as on my muno yenye nyema bintum ansa na nhyehyɛ na to aso but and also the say na make no wa mi ebia mi yenkonya inti se wan kase wawu na okase wanyane a wada ebia me prepare no but yenyina ye gitum se de ye di agro no de di agro no yewu a na afi metime yetime hu kwan a ebefa so a ebeso ano but ajanema mienu a me person misisu dia I think that problem Dr. Asasa and Tene Miniaka many omoya adwen wo kwan bebre so but I think that most of the time we may need free the single most important thing in economic development which is productivity. The GDP no is the measure of yenyina ye juma ye yenyina ye kin yenyina ye juma boma. That's the single most important thing I had to measure on mine year yo or mine no sika nibibiano is the GDP which is the base indicator. Me means and I think that Midika kai Ghana from 1960s up to this 2020 the growth rate has been woefully low over the decades. 1960s 2.3, 1970s 1.4, 1980s 2.0, 1990s 4.3, 2000s 5.4, and 2010 to 2020 6.8. On my nation, the general productivity has to go up, and that is where we need to refocus. You were unemployed median age over Ghana for me nubia ba could be at 21 years. E je kom na yenje hu ye. Uyi Ghana for me nubia ba ko e 21 years. But the rate of unemployment in our 21 years no it's almost unbelievable. On my a youthful employable population. E ban is saying ena ye juma ye nyina ye kan ye juma ye ni ye juma nyini eboma enkoye. So I think, sir, yes, the leakages in corruption, the leakages in some of, and I'll come to the banking sector, the leakages in some of those policy failures, clearly they were policy failures. It takes things away. But, your expenditure, but saying. Because Inti kwaya ofasu nyesikano and I'll see say growing your income stream is a more sure way to be wealthy than reducing your expenditure. And that's very significant. Into my money, by all means we should reduce corruption. By all means we should take care of some of the policy failures like the banking sector reform. But the single most important thing in my view is how do we refocus and how do we generate productivity? Kwan ben ye before so ebe mo mining nyini no akonkan. Kwan ben ye before so we would focus on kwaya or mining benyini. I will me assure say ye din komo no I've listed a few things and I'll link it to Yera Mahama and komo na odi you know in going back building the Ghana we want. I have a list here we'll go through but I'll leave that for the other conversation. Let me come to the banking sector. I'm the first to say banking sector no issues were. The report, the first banks went down in 2017. The reports were far on the wall from 2015. So there's no issues about that. The problem, however, is quite fast. I think that we chose the most expensive way, and I have a book on that. At the time I was even writing that book, things I have become aware after, but even at the time, I thought we could have done things better, far better. With hindsight, me assure say Binankasa ye biema obey nyama fufro. Because already the approach with GATT, for example, Ghana Amalgamated Trust, or certain institutions, some of the local banks, which has almost the same problems as the first ones he closed down. He didn't close them down, which are more per capita to put in Senior Tom Kano. And if you look at the GATT architecture, the Americans Omni Beseke is giving us a clear example. Say all the banks could have been saved, because if you look at the merger, the injection, and what is become now, a change. And I say banks now are good. Sebi. We could have done far better. But Mibusa say if you take the question of we could have restructured. What about banks like Heritage Bank? What was wrong with Heritage Bank? What was wrong with Heritage Bank? Sebi, the reason given is that Seydou Agongo is being charged and so unfit. Sebi, into make us away from and not just away from court, for until you are from until you are not fit to hold the bank. How do you explain things like Heritage Bank? Everything we say GN had a problem, for example. The contribution of mobilizing the informal sector across the whole country, from the north all the way down, that contribution you can never measure because banks now can go to the banks, look at their balance sheet. Nabusa say why na mabosia. Why na dey sika na ogige free e ho no ebo Ghana for. Offer bank bit say UT Banga. Say whatever you want, but Debia Mekase Prince Kofi Amabe will be my personal hero for as long as I live. Because if you understand 1995, 1994, what Ghana was and its contribution to financial services are, you would never underrate it. Now no you can Jata Cement asem. Jata Cement, budget so it's reducing importer and foreign. Do you know how Jata Cement, at the time my UT collapsed here, there were articles of Jata Cement at UT Bank. Holding, these are public documents, holding about 300 million of the debt because no one will fund the building of that cement factory. It had to take a man who believed in another Ghanaian to build that industry. Inti, the American say, Mpembe no productivity na ye can yen ye be boa ye ho. The idea is that we save and we translate it into capital. Mene o ye adwuma ni ye nya kakra ni are converting into real productive sector. Me de bedo bro mini apenyi de beti abe obi de be cement obi de be we say adwuma no na enya ye dia nti na almost all this problem. Almost all the eatery, name me one big eatery. Baby, I did. Enya afofro dia. Ahoho. But nka aduane ayedi so Jacob na. Aduane ayedi.
Nka sanka ye na.
Aduane ayedi so nka ahoho na embra me ye aduane. Na no kra me te se kenke. Chinese for kenke. Na Ghana for mum kotu. Enkran dok no. China for na ye enkran dok no. Emma Ghana for akotu abeton.
Ai obi the message bia lamp play King Rashid or say, Agya, please tell Mr. Thompson that the government did not collapse banks, but rather emerged them as CBG. And you know the collapse and the merger, no, and for so be baso.
We needed some form of reform.
Okay.
I think that the problem basically was that I can hear them omuka say ebi ayebo amani anka panic beba. But I think that your moye no it's brought more panic. There should have been a clear dialogue because you sorry anopa now uko a brand for example since 94 which has been extremely important in building almost all the big companies in Ghana we know. Now uko na ko tutu ni signboard Monday anopa tsese bi di obiabo krono. Then you are not helping anybody. If when you did that in 2017, 2018 you added 5 banks to create CBG. But you did not touch the savings and loans for about another year or so. All the time the panic was going on, what was happening? Savings and loan in microfinance, not there in Ekoso. People withdrew their money. We should have, I was saying, Mijitum said we should have done some reform, and definitely some reform was needed.
Okay.
But I was saying, na yesusu huye, na ye jini kosi ase. Answer. Maybe the gut approach should have been the primary approach from day one. But it's clearly an afterthought.
Okay. Dr. Sasanti, Mampena da Mahama, and I say, me pese ye candy, you say between academy no nabum near to me, Ashia. NPCR, a wa bemu, and I saw Regina said there be the finance minister must go. About 80 of them. Now, according to sources in Ukraine, there are more than 80, about 120 MPs, which are a majority side. You know, Omno Moniabre say, Omensa na hene, one question in the Juma war, you know, and moi war mine. Yanshe say, Obifi na bemu, na one casabe to me being and waka. Now, one can we and Ukraine, as some of the source on say, Aban Mampeni, Yomasam, Ama Yura Ken, Ufuriata and Kwa. se aban no ade bibiri efiri saasoe ho ebra ma hye bedwam ho a wom sa na hye bedwafo no wa aban afa no wom ntene mu afei budget ye de beba no so no anya de on betena ase na on matie bi na say anything about the finance ministry there wom enka ho hwe mampani o machia ama say om de yentwen na om ne amefo negotiating wie na on fa budget ne mra na de aka nyina om ye ni nyina wie a na fe de soso ye no waye yemfa de say one sani amra hye budwafo no ye no eden e na e ka kire oman no and the international community the kind of confidence say omanfo nya e wo aban ne mu ene man pani mu confidence say international community ni nya e wo man ne mu investors nya e wo man ne mu no eden e na ka kire yen na eden pa na sequence so say opani ye beka se kwotena se na obi from na ememe ye adwuma
Agya Kwabena
mira
kwaka asemo yo ma me mfa ye mfi baabi mra na me nkyerɛkyerɛ niema mu na efe asem na ni na ho ene den wo hwɛ ye nwura no ma wo ye mrase begwafo nipa di ɔwɔtwe na 80 suban a wɔda adi na mereka na meka si so sɛ asem foforo kora ebi nsi wo men hada sɛ wo awo party wo ho na wo party na di ɔman no so na efe wa sɔre se niema bi nkoye yen ye sɔre ye tia sa asem no yen a yesu amanya asem munya ye pɛ awurade aba ani di aba ene den sɛ kyerɛ sɛ enye sɛ ye wa ban nti enya adɔ na wo de ye na asem na wo hwɛ na wo ka yo enu nti yen a ye hu no sa na ye hu na nige kwan so ene den na kyerɛ ne ye de sa ade na aba ne ye di kan wa hwɛ wɔreka ɔman sika nkonta na ne nhyehyɛ economy na wo se yengo wura no oforata ontras na obi foforo mra na wonan ne mani won asem a wokani nyina wogina so no ya asem baako se amanyesom no ne far by pa no yesika asem efi se ne okomeden ondie bibia se wote ase enu nti se woro yo man na se wanhwe man sika nkonta na ne nhyehyɛ so ya woboya wotu opeta watu opeta tuo ene den nhwehwemu kyerɛ sɛ nkrofo kɔto aba wo hwɛ won abrabom na wɔto aba na ade a wogina so a wɔde to aba ne edi kan ayo man sika nkonta na ne nhyehyɛ edadi nti wo bɛhwɛ a ne owo position ne ɔte aban biribia no ne nkomo ne sɛ mo mamitumi meba medan economy nani ɛyɛ no kware nso sɛ woje tumi no nso a wo hu sɛ wɔdan ɔman nani wɔyɛ ne wɔyɛ nyina wɔkɔto aba ɛhɔ yɛ asɛm foforo na ɛhɔ na sa mpanimfo no wo fi na no wɔba wo hu sɛ sɛ na niema kɔ wo hwɛ inflation wo hwɛ car yɛde wo hwɛ productivity sɛ na me wura ikan wo hwɛ niema ɛma ayi wɔ frɛ ne den economy ni gina ne nan so no ɛyɛ atɔfom na wɔtena hɔ na sɛ egudi a na egu wɔ nkom nti wo sɔre wo sɛ dabi ɛsi yɛ sakram wotie aban na kasa wo so biribi akɔ so fɛfɛɛfɛ na maaso afo yi wo bɔ ho modern pa wo kai sɛ World Bank IMF no mabɛka kyerɛ nse dabi saa wɔn a yɛbɔ wɔn so bɔ nneɛma a yɛde so bo ato so no sɛ Russian Ukraine ɛne ayi Kwabena ho ɛnya no kware na yɛyɛn sɛ ne yɛbu ɔman no wa
efiasem
wɔn asɛm ni nti yɛyirim asɔre sɛ dabi yɛnhwɛ na wɔn kasa no baako no nso ne ɛkyerɛ yɛn ne sɛ wɔpɛ sɛ wɔsɔre gyina ɛsiane sɛ ɔsansa faade ɔde kyerɛ ɛne den abang bɛkɔ wohia sɛ daakye bia no wosɔre a wode wade kyerɛ sɛ mekuruwa yi anaasɛ adaka yi me na meyɛ yi hwɛ mo ngabedi ɔman so nyinaa no bia sɔre wo sɛ me maabang na ɔyɛ sɛ ɛno na nipa pɛ so wɔhu ɛfiri sɛ woyɛ ade a ɛte sɛ woyɛ nti wɔrehwɛ abang yɛ japade obetumi agya wo nti wɔhu sɛ woanhwɛ ansɔre nti a abang no ntumi nya wo hwee ɛno nti wɔn ani abrɛ wɔ ho afei wohwɛ MPs no nso yɛ sɔre na ne ɛwɔ ho no sɛ wɔsɔre nso ma wɔn ho ebi sɛ wɔn pɛsua so no wɔn constituency wɔn a wɔ hɔ no sɛ nti mu ne akɔso mu hu yɛ yɛn kan hu sɛ MP na adwuma no sɛ ogyina hɔ ma ɔman no na ogyina hɔ ma ne mpɛsua so ɛno nti na wɔkɔ wɔn mpɛsua so na wɔkɔ bogua na wɔtie wɔn haw na wɔde bɛtu aban anim na afei ne aban nso yɛ no wɔka kyerɛ wɔn MP ti wɔn adwuma no ɛno nti hu sɛ nansen Asante region wɔn a wɔ hɔ asɔre yɛn akwan nye aban ka ho asɛm a ɛyɛ asɛm foforo ese enunti wo hwe no wo ka kire won utie won kasa won a se nipa ba wotwi adia wotwi won kasa ne se won constituency no nipa wo won pesa so no wo ka kire won se ne ekor enye internet se wo gina ho ma ho na wo bio se utie won kasa na fe ne eba ne se niema ne bo won aka waden na omampanin ne na asoafo wontie enunti braso se wo ba abonten na wo bede suban wi adi na fe aban ni jetu
ne sa na de ebeboa esan se
meba ho
eye party na de ba
meba ho bidi nyema bi kirekiro
okay
efe wo se wutie won kasa ye na yesu amanya so ye hu se wo se nipa bi wo ho a aye se won ayi won afim na biri mu nkua na wom amanya so mo no eye ododo amamu nti ati so obi ya wom enunti ne wo kire ne se ma wunua no sabe on trans na mafoforo merem efi se NDC fu afi ase bo nso bo se muna musemu wo merima no wo wen adan na ti aben na merebo pa se muna musemu wo se nipa no wen wutie yen awura subin ni no o se nipa no wo ho mo ma won kwan wo beba be ye se wo tirase efei se wo hwe ye wade bi a kire political science o se dominant group ai factor wo hwe MPP na mass party nti abusuaku mekire abusuaku a ethnic groups bi a wom na nea one constituency so pa ye anti group na woman 47 constituencies and nti one yedin so wo hwa abato a se MPP lusu Asante region a wedding kuku and nti MPs na wo ho no wo hwe won ato atua na won do no fi Asante region won wo gina me am classmate and the apia kubi and won akeka won wo gina ho wo protect sa interest no wo party no se yen ne ye hye mokana na se ye kasa na muntie dia ye be soro ababon
ebinim sa mampanin na hye akiri no be so o dey farm na hye bedwafo no se be possible sa
atesam de memfa nya adwuma mere kasa se political science ni nti me kasa ne de nya atesam so what ase efei nipa bi nso ehu se yo se won amfa won nan ansi foma eniema be giagu na ne nyina no memfa meti wasam no so dem na ka kire international community dem na ka kire yen sa de na wo ye no memedi kan kense so wo beye no wo betua so akosi awie dia wo be gina ho wo nipa ni so se eyi no mo ne eyi big 6 ne eyi be ye big 80 ze what you say so wo beye akosi awie ya na mo mo koso kwan no finfiri no wo san won achi ya aya asam foforo
na mo nsan
ma me nkom anim so wo hwe ne wo kan na ene ne yenwuro mampanin kan na nkrofo nso de kiro mampanin awe sa adan na wo ka sa kire won na wo de kire mpifo mini ha won unim ne ndia mini won amanya sam no eye dialogue wo beka na makabi enye kanka bi wo ka menka bi da bi eye wo beka na makabi enu nti wo de won ha waba wo kan wa dan mu mpanimfu antie ene won ayi na di you aban se metie o mampanin se metie mo ma me na wo twa biesa me wure na wo twa biesa eware nso enware bia so wo ti ase enware bia ana obese na wo twa abosuma biesa eware enware bia ene den wo de onkoye sa nhyehyɛ ni nyina awie na mum oye wie a na so mampanin di ne bɔhyɛ so ya ne bɛba ne sɛ afei party ne begina afei eba ne sa aban no nso aye steady ene den esa ne sɛ ne nipa ba adi ɔtwe ye won agba aban ne hanya won agba aban hanya nti afei won ahu sɛ afei wa kase won akase sa aban ani won asam no so ya aban adwuma bi a wɔde ba parliament a wɔde nye won nso ya ai budget no won kan bi o na sese aye wo hang parliament oha aduasa asia oha aduasa asia so what na da ntem no wo mu se oba akokura afima asamato MPP enunti sabam di adwuma obema awirihwem asanga ba bio confidence so abang no yakasa no watie abang nyina ne se yakasa obetie no tie nso ya ode be na asem pod be mami wie ma asem na efei eba ne san nso ya obenya support nkofu be gina abang na ji so abang ne ya kan efei de waye na sa abang no anye ye wura o mampanin ba wa hye won se wani so ya wonu ne beba ni efei ube hu se nipa edi owatwi wode won ta makwa akobọ NDC fo de na no ni wo se eni ye be yowura na si fom ho ye ni mu gase
impeachment no
so what any sense of a vote of censure into a vote of censure into wo be yi na si fom na ne wo yi ni si fom a eye nkrofo afi wa ban mu no won ne ku ketwa no abaye ba ko no we won agu aban na ne eni onyam bi ayira ni awoka biribi obi antie eba ne saa na kire wi asese aban na oto wono kura mpon wada na ne nangu abonten na eno no wonfa anyo man ese ya de pa eba ne saa wuri nya support bia na wokọ parliament a when da so no say won a woye wo ayi wo friend den mmarahye beguafo na wo fi party mu no wo gina ho na wo boa wo na wo niema a wo de kɔ no wo mmara a wo de kɔ no ni nyinaa ye wie pɛyɛ na ye mmara efisɛ sɛ wo anya wo nga wo ye biribi a enye nti saa niema no ekoso ya efe ebeko atia party ne sɛ wo ntumi nya hwe na wo nya japade bia na eba no saa wo nim nsunsu anso ho sɛ wo ntumi anya economy na anya yenka ehu sɛ da afene ye de to aba 2024 no ye ka nkonta na yenka nka ho ye ka sɛ aka abusuma bien eyewu na efe afe ndi afe ba ko ne abusuma bien etise woyi nkonya bi etise woyi na wodan oman sika nkonta na ne hyehyɛ ani na wo sakra ne ma na obi ahoton wo ntumi anya saa
jejirije
dan ade na wode be legacy ben ejapade ben na wode be gya wo mani na yen kai hu se wo kwa bato a eye contest of ideas and referendum of your work dan na wunim de ne niam a wo utima wo ba ka kire me se memfa tumi ma wo na wo be ye na efe wi a adwuma bra me de ma adwuma wo ye adanse wo ho ne so wo anya wo be hu se wo prefer nka tukura wo MPP mu ebedu ba kura wo be gwan ebi se dan no wo be gina so
asem ni ampa mistake one that say inside in some adojoro say Kwabena, please read my message. I'm doing that. I say please, President John Mahama has spoken from a nationalistic point of view, display patriotism and gave numerous solutions to the crudeless, corrupt Nanado Dankwa and / Dr. Baumia led administration. But Nanado will never listen because he think he is the repository of all knowledge and the grandpa of intransigent, never again to nation records or the Nidiaba. And now Usikane unique. James was today's show is unique. Aja, Mr. Medase, Lempre John Oseja, Kwabena, please tell okay, men Mr. Makan of Canada. I go on July and I said, good morning, Kwabena. This is a special show ever, and I'm really learning something. Pa, you share dance, share Dubai for you now. Upon Ebenezer to or say to your panel members this morning, Kwabena. Our problem in Ghana is that we don't continue a project of a former government. We try to abandon all the projects from the old government, and all this come with a huge cost. Greetings to my father, Akwamuhene of Ejuso on traditional area. I'm watching live from the US of A. Eben, yes, that's it. And I go to and I say, guys, how far is the SIM registration? Also, let me say, maybe my friend Nebi Salama Wati. I told him say tongue, we the about Francis and Sansa, I told him say tongue. Francis and Sansa, MPP government has disgraced all Ghanaians, except those who get small chop. MPP has freed Ghanaians and destroyed the country. Francis and Sansa, say, on be okay, say, even if you don't take care, there will be food shortage in the country. Agric minister say anyhow quarantine to you. Papa Ozone or say this country itself has no vision. So politicians and a corrupt few people will continue to take advantage of Ghana's situation to make dubious profits for themselves. I will only and I'm the only Ghana. Okay. I'm saying, I want to say clear, Papa. Yeah, I will opare or say Chinese making cake to sell to Ghanaians. Hey, you know, Asaro, Obesriara, and no money away. YNGH was a good money, Agya. If the president is not in the interest of sacking Ken Ofori-Atta now, then he's making me think what I'm thinking. And then I was thinking, I say, hey, Ghana, ye chedi yo but after sacking Ken Ofori-Atta, I think many should follow. Now, I want to say, Game Boy, GH say, the MP situation is different than the president. I can vote for MP, but I will not vote for their presidential candidates. So we should be careful and stand for the citizenly. And some those will be now. Me per se, me ba mensa share. NPC a omo ye party for no be say omo yi party nama. There are parts two be omo fear puye mantem. Ma me mo ba ko piki eyen price omo na she bedwani. O se nkrofo class start say beto abeti an primaries for 2024. Ebinim say ye hunehuna omo ama empanyifo bi e wo puye mantem na nanu bi afre from phone so kra ehunehuna omo niam akeka sa de na munua a ye I mean can say of free money in every one region na bibi say abana mo so mo kwakota ni pa bi achi say do we have to take where the person is coming from and no ni kind and that's the interest of man no any kind no she be for na de no mo ye no are they doing in their own interest and not say in the interest of democracy or in the interest of their constituents?
You Jacob na me that say let me say Dr. Santi Acheche mu bebre from a political scientist point of view. But Jacob na we will say it as it is because let me say baby Edru no o mind na say ma ye nebre and you can okre to certain people. I think say near MPC aye omogo mo ho ni mase bebre.
Aye MPs
no.
Why?
The majority MPs. Because you say Beman sin shum and San Waham. And a Bible class said you didn't say so funtum that you not Oshene Chino or Fatanya Copan here.
Imagine a collection of my area.
You see, Kwabena, before the MPs came out, say Omobe demanded your friend is saying the removal of Kenofrata publicly. No money or penny aye engagement be even at cabinet level. MPs now no masemo. Say call cabinet. They requested for the removal of Kenofrata at cabinet. Penny catch almost say time na Kenofrata didn't edit bank airborne opposition no more. The president told you people this in opposition. Sorry, in private. Telling you people say he has no plans of removing the guy from office. A whole frustration among the bar wanting by a press conference. Emma Ghana for you know who say decision a moment taking ye, but Oman Penny, I and Adrian say, won't ye? Omo press conference with you. Almost say, Omaye, any possible internal resolutions they don't see any possible outcome. And that is why they are coming out to say without the removal of Kenofrata, they won't participate in government business.
So what kind of side and so many na share bedroom kukwam edin koma
anyi
and I into my babontin. But you say as some kind of kukwam anyi no you can no abontin. And to say they've used every means at the end of Juma send so say no. And tell them go say go on the way.
No Ghana for nyina budget almost. And in fact we have even revered people. Like Dr. Nyautamaklo who is a member of their party who said what the MPs have done, they've saved this fourth republic. Which was very mabaso. Na itire nipa na moni no koshia kokom ene kasai na wo se wonye na ntimudi ehobufo ba abonten no sa nipa na asa afre mo aka kire mo say oh nipa no montwen na wonye IMF negotiations owi ana okọ mo se yo. I mean what is the logic and the sense in this? Eja Kwabena nyansa pa sebe nyansa pa
se obi nse kwa aduane mo ye aduane no ode niam frafra enchin dodo ese kum niam adi ko ono na onim enkwan dodo awo ye enti no ande ne yema ne kwa ma ne nya aduane ni wie ye aduane wie na se unfi kechi ono.
You see enunti sebe mi busa MPs no you see these are not a mofrao. These are members of parliament omo ye privy to a lot of things. They are privy to the IMF negotiations. The kind you don't even have a program with the IMF. IMF Fompon can't tell us on a program in the first place. So, Gambia for IMF 2 years ago, they are still doing negotiations. So for 2 years, they are still doing negotiations. Into 2 years, no, Kenofrata say, IMF negotiation be 2 years. Kenofrata and 2 years.
Yeah, they're very quick.
Why the catch it? Now, Metie will be, or say, almost a penny catch up say, the IMF will give us a program in 3 weeks or by the end of 2022. And why not just throw each other? The IMF are coming back to town in the next few weeks to do their final assessment prior to a debt restructuring. And no problem come you. Dinner, your friend is saying, your friend Kwame Pieni, Dr. Kwame Pieni say, your friend is saying the negotiations are not going well. I know for a fact that the negotiations, so the negotiations with the IMF are 80% complete, so they should allow him to finish, which is a blatant lie. And the MPs, you know.
Now, how many percent? No, my parents saw reports man be finance minister no team no reports man abiri so no nim say do 80%. We are IMF. We have written to the IMF on this matter. You are buying programmer, I also buying the IMF say
Your program, homegrown program, your program, your PC,
Efie
and no problem for being coy. You have not submitted the program to the IMF. What's the negotiations will go complete and you get the program before the year ends? How are you going to get a program when you don't even have a program yourself?
About fast tracking, no.
Away. The next IMF board meeting that will approve programs for countries is in first quarter 2023. Who is going to approve the program for you before the year ends? 3 months. Who is going to approve the program for you? When the IMF board that is going to approve a program for Ghana, if possible, will sit in first quarter 2023. You see, again, Agya Kwabena, no, me say a common sense. I was saying NPC kwa issue na adwene say Agya Kwabena. Nipa na watena ka mo de ka na kwhya amene mo no. O te ka na ye tanwen untimi mpie. Mo aba ko say oh, yinisi form na ye mfa driver papa nse ono untimi ka na mfra amene ma. O say o de mo ntena ho. Ye na ye nya kaka no yi ka na mfra amene nim. Na o tanwen na o sa di form kese ka ho na ye ne den.
Bia no can say mo makwani bia no atu choku bi maka na nko bia bia won e ba na cha be na wo
your problem wo man nyina ye nipa ba ko peke no for yata sam me no ka say he has been the biggest problem
economic management team
economic management team economic management team
okay
he is the Mr. They are part of the problem but me say Kenufurata is the biggest problem wonunti economy now is stagnant no confidence nothing. Agya Kwabena, Kenufurata, look at the management of the city. Kenufurata didn't throw, yet to come on a first quarter, Kenufurata and say, oh, they're going to inject some $600 million, some $2.5 billion into the economy. Ebesine. And at dollar no depreciate year could do about 8.9. And I'm say, oh, Afri-Exim loan is coming, 750 million. Yeah, the Bible share economy name and also teku. They say almost had the cocoa, almost oh, cocoa syndicated loan is coming. You see, the economy lack confidence. And now we need to it sends a signal to the capital market say that the direction of the economy is going to change. Because what Kenufurata has been doing since 2018 is to go to the capital market and borrow 1 billion every year to come and inject. When we say the previous government echo under IMF program in 2015. The program ended in 2017. And Abayi extended that program for 1 year. Because that was a very fantastic program. Out of what? Out of a consensus. Ghana for and that is why we have recommended say in times of crisis like this, no, you call a national dialogue a consensus.
Until now they say man peninda da mahama sama o kan ye enra no kwen fa no kwen wura mu preko na me bisa say wo gidi say man peninda da mahama sama o kan ye no eno so ebetumi anya bibi o say the recommendations or the buy na be say me hwe na ye bobo bi so say we should cut waste jo mahama on just say on the economy no say the ye no o de adwinkyere bebre aba say na advice or the buy
reduce the number of ministers. Your friend is saying cut down on the your friend saying
expenditure.
Eat what you grow.
Eat what you grow. Cut down. National dialogue. I need that.
Very fun.
Afenyomark so say President, former President Mahama Nasamwa Wakano. Okani simple. Afenyomark I say recommendation is on the economy in bad faith.
You see, let me say something. My respect for John Mahama went up very, very highly when I listened to his address the last time. Not because of suggestions or the maye, but because of the way and manner he spoke. Where you nipa na otia kunyaso. And I'll be ye did that ye flow near the economy now. Say rane. And I was say idea no basa. Say you be say even President Kufuado. And nka uyi ni free akonya so. And na oba no say no ma say as am kan toko esi krom ha. Anko osia bonti lead demonstration against you. Ye tian wo krom ha say. But the way and manner, and he made a very important point. He said this is not the time for vain vindication, vain, touting of vindication. Say, we told you so, we told you so. And that is a very, very important mark of a leader. Say, in times of crisis, he is not concerned about his political ambition, but he's more concerned about the plight of the people. And for me, I think, say, that is something that is worth commending. Say, he took that direction and he did not go into the politics aspect of it. What Afenyo Makin is now doing is to take the conversation back to the politics part of it. And I don't want to engage in that bit. Okay. Let's focus on how do we rescue this country. It's our time we call the national dialogue on the economy. Because you need people, all hands on deck, to resolve the problem. Mm-hmm. You need people to bring their bits and pieces. Because when people are part of drafting the solution, they are comfortable and they will support you in the implementation. Let's have a conversation. But before that conversation goes on, the government must show good faith. Afenyo Makin,
or say bad faith.
And if Afenyo Makin were to be on former President Kufuor say, this is the time to show good faith. And the best way to show good faith is to remove the finance minister, cut down the number of ministers, cut down the number of agencies, cut down the number of presidential staffers, show good faith. Say, indeed, you are more concerned about the plight of the people. Then we can all sit down and say, okay, then how do we fix the problem? But, there are very, very important issues worth discussing and worth talking about in times and moments like this. And I think, sir, in engaging this conversation, we must not lose sight of those important aspects of this whole conversation, that there's a fundamental problem of trust and confidence of this system. The youth of this country are losing faith in our system. People are losing faith in our system. This is the time for politicians say the way no mercy kono. People are not fool anymore. They say social media ma information as atre nkofo timi kan nkofo hunu de ekoso. Those times na ultimate ben to akọ that will be man to obama on etwam. Ene nkofo te no ma so mo kan enti they understand everything that is going on and they analyze. They do elections time. They will analyze your behavior and they will give you a verdict. So this important aspect, the politicians must not lose sight. Nan say ye hu say nkofo be because mebu no ye say u complaining and ye hu say ehimfo bi no abetna no mo didi watem. Anya ehimfo nko even the politicians. Yet Groma na Katie Hammond be catch there say ye complaining sebe ye mebu no ye ni adwene bia we yitrim. Yohana ohine bi so be catch there ye say ye ni eti Groma ye complaining no sebe ye na mamenom ya mbeyfo no man tete ye. Eja Kwabena, this is not the time for these kind of talks. We mra e wo say ye nyina no ye de eni brani akukuduro na ye hwe na ye de movie out of the quagmire we find ourselves in. Eja Kwabena, and let me wrap up with this whole IMF conversation. Eja Kwabena,
yes sir.
The IMF is prepared and dedicated to help Ghana resolve its challenges. There's one important aspect of this whole conversation. I also ED. Because IMF are catching Ghana by say any debt they won't give you a program without a debt restructuring. You will need a debt restructuring because your debt levels have gotten to unsustainable levels. IMF for will say your debt restructuring is going to cover at least 90% of all total government creditors. What this means, they say, and yet amanone aban akobo sian for nkwa de benya haircut. Even your domestic debt has to be restructured. Eja Kwabena, there is another banking sector crisis coming because of the debt restructuring. Yes, because aban abobosian na aban free local banks on the salaries no. Ay hwan sika, yesika o. Ye savings. Ye de go banks na omokukuru dia ma aban. Sa aban fentua salaries on fan enye nedwuma. And I say, a common aban intimi in banks neka. Into Oko Bank, no so could use a bank amount. So when they restructure those debts and they move those debts forward, either you receive a haircut or you receive postponement until Oko necessary Bank and because of move amount. Eja Kwabena, this is a very important conversation as Amri. I would say Abino will be leading a national conversation on how to resolve or how to mitigate the impact of this crisis, because if we have a second banking sector crisis, the economy will go on. And then just money declare bankruptcy.
Okay.
And somebody should be leading that conversation. What take this conversation about pensions? Your friend said workers are raising critical concern about the tier 2 and tier 3. Finance Minister Bekache and say when there's a debt restructuring, they are going to touch only tier 2, they won't touch tier 3. On the tier 2 no, is mandatory. It's mandatory contributions. Tier 3 no, is mandatory. What they are forgetting is when you touch tier 2, people are going to quickly liquidate their tier 3. You are going to crash the entire pension sector. The crisis that is ahead of us. Nkofo to say Martin friend say afenyo marking. ETF video so kika sansem bi making all these complaints, you know. It's a problem. It's a huge problem.
Medase. Yahweh. Ya kan nyina no. Obi so na adwenkyere ba. Ese wonso de nipa. Mampene da Muhammad de adwenkyere bia ba na wono ensam kakra menu aketwa Emmanuel Buhoxin ono ye wo hwe daily graphic mu a ho na sansem yi wo na ose ne osusu se abande ye betumi aboa empempi no mo se okasa on fa solutions ma na we de ose the solution include reducing public debt, cutting government expenditure, tackling waste and corruption, scrapping, realigning or merging state institutions institutions with similar and overlapping mandates, and suspend of non-essential projects. And for say robust homegrown economic program to serve the foundation for any international monetary fund intervention. The sacking of finance minister Enusu Bemubi and the reconstruction of the economic management team for the president to take full control. And to share the mahudo kan here.
That's what Mahama said.
Yeah, but that is not a good.
But that's not the point.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not a good suggestion.
Mati.
President himself.
Yanhwe. Na dream show dia be nyina wonye say state institutions ni bi wa weni nyina so omo ya de kro.
That's a good recommendation.
Hwegu na ke ni nyina ba ko a ene into na dream show dia ba do say dey be ne dey.
Eja answer na meko no. I think that Dr. Kasembi and I just want to almost correct something. Yen nyina ya hu say NDC corner or parliament a memo a motion for censure. And ya dream mono yesu say omo pass that voter era can a basic form automatically impeme bresa na nipa dream. But
enyemen kontaning if so we read the article
that's exactly
Ochra will say the president may
that's exactly where I'm coming to may come
Merechra will say near beba
right
say wo betuma ye say wo ya wo bedi nkunima e asam for because I am aware of that work me
inti me person me three agencies to say if even the vote of censure happens omampanyi pa no be you know
on pa
onyi no
but mo ya mo lawyers no so kire say ayi mo lawyers no so kire say e kodu baby 2/3 of parliament ya atum so wonyi na no omampani has no choice.
It's not. So you see, the can I say? Of course, the vote shall be carried by 2/3.
Yes,
but that's in 2B. But if you come 82, but if you come to 5, yes, the recommendation that the president made,
yes,
may come and I'm using that to make a point to say that even the vote carries, your vote to me says Sebio because Papa Nentanase and I'm more Nentanase, and I'm surprised at Nyama Bibri. The first one is the timing. The choice of the timing by the majority MPs of the majority caucus. And yet, the timing question comes from the president, you know. It clearly tells, and I think that Dr. Akan, it clearly tells that there's a crisis in Sebi, Akrache for party, you know, crisis which they need to reconcile. But I also think that they have a lot of communication problems they need to pay attention to, because yenim say whatever it is, asemsia, say asembia no ye dey no neka. but the Kamea said the rhetorics is not helping, the communication is not helping the political crisis. Media no besio. Na matiasi Yera Mahama in common also. Mitie ne kasa no. Menene ya adwen wo nyama bebre so. But I also think that he also falls to the same trap where we focus on, and I think that Makan Wafidi so in there. Say ye need that so no. Yes, you better castle and being efficient, and that is important. But the goal is because our growth rate is low, we should be focused on how do we generate productivity. Solutions via which is not tended towards how we become more productive is half. Of course, half is better than zero. But okay, one come and here embuano. Inti.
Central can say, okay, you as a homegrown economic program.
Let me come to that. Inti, one come and embuano. You won't. It won't be full. Of course, he says that homegrown economic solutions. But the question is, what exactly? I agree with him. The government needs to cut sides. Of course, Ghana does not need 3 finance ministry. I can was he has 3 deputies. Anamewa. 3 deputies. Meaning. So I agree completely with him in restructure. Be an effective government. I completely agree. But I think that in terms of emphasis on how we generate productivity was, in my humble view, there could have been a lot more recommendations on why yebe generated productivity. Make a question. I think, in my humble view, on my no, and yet mistake now, for example, and then over India, I come here, I say, Ejuma kesi ebia ne MD, India ni, UK, Prime Minister
say Indian.
Why does India now almost appear to dominate? Because there was a careful, intentional agenda towards human capital development. Say, yebema ye niya kunipa, titie, ni nipa siyahunu, ni nipa nyansa pemu. Mimi susu yemuno. That should be a primary focus.
Dabi with the money and submission. We are a Kwabena be one medicinal kasa pacho.
The problem of focusing on human capital development, in my humble view, should be number 1. Miniano say Agya, it's right, but it's a long-term solution. And I disagree on that, because if you have a population with a median size or median age of 21, unemployment is your biggest problem. Every solution should be tended around how we create employment. So the conversation in building the Ghana we want, I completely agree with the solutions. And don't get me wrong, I'm saying that I hear him to say that be effective. Into the Okan said the goal is to be effective. But I also say in building that effectiveness without generating enough productivity, my expectation was in that focus. I expected a lot more conversation on unemployment.
But to me, I can't said he be also sank so canon.
Again, it's a question of priority. Prioritizing.
Okay.
Say and no best solve the problems in the biggest way. Unemployment and productivity is the biggest problem Ghana is facing. That's my humble reading of it. Into anybody who seeks to solve the problems of Ghana without emphasizing unemployment and productivity, nyobeka nyinaye bataka kakra. Into many Yera Mahama on the effectiveness on each local goods, domesticate, and I think that if anything, the domestication agenda in part seems to suggest that say nyinaye pegana nyema, nyinaye to Ghana nyema. Of course, there will be demand for Ghanaian product, which means that some way, somehow, Agya supply will come. But the supply is not automatic. The solution should be tended towards how do we supply Ghanaian product and how do we restructure the economy in a way that Ghanaian enterprises is paramount. Kwabena Ghana nyuma ebeko nanim. Ejakob na niema miensa. the kind of fair valuation of systems. CD are echo for me against the dollar. US dollar a reserve currency. You can't reserve currency. I just say you are seeing in a good you know. Fakesi na you didn't know dollar. Inti send you biano. Uhe trend na. The reserve currency will always be stronger in the long term. Inti currency we are seeing in our prefer no. Who be the actual currency ketwa. So that valuation system on the base of it, I say CD no would almost depreciate. But the question is, why must we live an economy with a market that is not effective? The basis of say the market will determine prices is on the premise of free market and effective market. We know that the Ghanaian system is not a free, effective market. Until the American, some of the solutions must border on how do we build effective regulation. Kwabena, first of all, will regulate industries in more effective, with focused outcomes on the The regulations must be guided, it must be focused, and it must be wisdom driven. Yes, Minka said your car, no, wrong, but I'm saying that some of the things I also expected, and I'm adding, the focus should be on unemployment and productivity. The second one is the nature of the market is ineffective. And because the markets are ineffective, they are tended towards the speculative end. Inti, moto chacha, moto dollar say no mudi benyeska. They are literally gambling on Ghana's failure. And they would win against the reserve currency. So the point is, Sebi, you need dollar or chroma. Dollar, and your legal tender in Ghana. It may be the currency of trade for Ghana, but you can regulate the flow of dollar in Ghana. And people may not like it. People may not like it because it goes against their private, personal wealth and their portfolio management. But the point is, in Ghana, yendi dollar, yendi cedi. Enti Oko East Lagos, no be pricing in dollar. Not bank will give somebody who earns cedi mortgage in dollars. And that goes on. The solution in curtailing cedi na falling, it's not only about sebi yendi gobe. It's important say ebedi gobe because the oil beans it helps him. But the bigger problem in the depreciation of the cedi, it's not that. The biggest problem is that you have an ineffective market, and in that ineffective market, something must sit on it. So the conversation must tend towards how do we regulate that ineffective market.
The last one.
Inflation. You can inflate your debt away, and sometimes you say inflation is a problem. But you see inflation, say if you are domestic debt, or my inflation cost or natural scan or sebi scanner baller inti can or the apprentice card, then he pays off that. But I think that one thing I agreed with Dr. Forsing before Mr. Mahama, and they said where we've gotten inflation, you can't inflate the debt we have away. And I completely agree on that. Say trying to inflate and say if this inflation is driven with the end, say about domestic debts now performer, it is not helping. It's a manyamaya day more. You're focusing on inventiveness and innovation. Both, and that is why I agree with Mahama when he says that we should have a national dialogue. We should have a dialogue in a way that we focus on inventiveness and innovation. Kwaya, you be first one, you be solve a problem. Sebi, nimde ni baako for team. Inti ye tenase, ni ye brainstorming, ni ye kase kwaya you be first one, you be solve. Meti a Mr. Waka media. Mesi you focusing on unemployment, and we should focus about regulating effective market. Ebia Dr. Nemenyagi, Ebia Thomas Nemenyagi. No so Canadian, and then we would think through it to a point where we come to the most innovative solution. I think that it's imperative, say, you're better finding national dialogue. But in all or no, I agree, say, Sebi, it was important that Mahama spoke. It's important, say, from a communications point of view, I think that Mahama, of course, is having a lot more political gains, even by the choice of the timing, and that is okay. That is okay. But in all of this, Yama Ghana,
but I say, all can be, all can say dialogue. Mampedi Mahama Nasamo Kayano or say Mr. Mahama said the country was in a crisis and therefore the government must be ready to listen, to advise and bring all stakeholders on board to find solution to the current economic predicament. I say this is not a time for arrogant and insulting posturing. This is the time for listening, a time for utmost humility, and a time for honest contemplation. A time to admit and accept that we have gone wrong.
I agree 100%.
Now, I don't know can you know say a time for dialogue no. And as social daily guide anymore. As someone daily guide way. Daily guide anymore. Or say Nana, that is the president and his ministers meet over economy. We ayabana for recently say bia no moko Peduase. Ekosia e kwoto atwadwene a. Peduase ba yi aye hu hwe. And a dollar giti. They are going back to Peduase. Would you say this is the time and kese say ye say Ghana na ni mudifo nyina ye fro mu nyina se na mapena da ma ka say national dialogue no. Is this the time kese ye since say ekuo ye ko ye ba ye a ye hu hwi ekuo kure ya esanko obi wi.
Agya Kwamra.
Yes sir.
Me fi ase afi Owura Mahama. Na me de besi wasemus na fe mawie.
Jo.
Wotie ne a Owura Mahama kan na. Nsam na dodo no kan nkrofo aka na nkasa adi kan aka bi dedaw ena nipa aka sa na mu amanyo sam na de sa no woye no wo be koso aka ni o wason ontie otie na asempa omfanya adwuma enti okyerɛkyerɛ na adwene yeo edu ba bi a uhu sɛ politics wom na hun eno enye no na mehwɛ na mum sa nsam na kan yemi sɛ ehu sɛ so ɛyɛ no kwara na enye no kware ni nyina yɛ no kware enti dan ne ɛbɛyɛ yekwa animu no sawti ase afutu enye se aba ne nga betena se wa ha ne aba kasa keke yen so den ne ka ne no ne besi wasam no so se ne ose wonye dialogue nipa nhia no wonwen sa so asampa mefi asam na ase afi ho amanyosam ne obroni kan ana political science we say eye dialogue eye ngitahudi na etua so da ne da won kan wie wonye wie enunti wodi tumi mawa esa ne se tumi ne nya wodi enye sebe mo adwuma bi na wo ye eyo man nyina yen adwuma o se sovereignty no yen tumi no ne ye de amawo se ye gina ho na ye man enunti sa woro ya ete se utie ne ye beka na wutie na ya sempa fa ye adwuma enunti uhia dodo dialogue me jetum ete se won anim de wo sansem wo hia na wodwen senia wo beye saa ne me yafa na me hu za aban na fiase atua na mon bi oni nipa bi afiase kasa aku bi asa ate kasa okwan nini wo kasa na wo tireum na wo de won a sansem yi wo te ase paa no wo kasa na wo betuma kasa na wo ne sebe nipa bi a wo ni nim dia kasa wa kasa o na mum ne wo hwe wo nsarenka na mum ni won kasa na wo song so na wo reba won a ye fro won stakeholders won a wo sia eyo so what you say won a sebe woni mo de won a wo betumi ama wa kwankyere ababoa so wo kasa na wo kasa saa na kasa keke ne de a sebe eno de uri nya ne awpe na mum wo ne won a saa nwuma nyina what you say na transe ya wo kasa wo benya bibia fim na eno kyere wo se bibia no wo du atu apenten saa wo ka nipa bom so what you say se wo nhwe se nipa no wo mfi wo party nkwan a se won na wo hwehwe de awurinya efise se won na wo de wani to won so ya na wani ho na na ye bedu ha enu nti hwehwe se onipa biara asemasi obenten a onim de obetuma aboa no gina wa tu no mra miura lawyer case ono de ne akonyi na ara no productivity adwumaden ene so aba ebeso mene ne adwene na mo mene ne nya adwene o se no nkwan a productivity without prudence eyekwa say yeah moro ye adwuma yen hu so mfa so na mom adwuma ne ye ne se sika kura ne yenya sidi oha na mom obi wia sebe sika ne fagu o baabi enti etese wo kwasu na wo de kenten na kwasu obregu kwa enu nti meje de se ye hia ne okan na mom ne ye hia ne se corruption wo behwe se erema so eta ne se enu ni leakages no eno na ese ade ye behwe se baby a waste wo do nan besi form se erema so wo behwe se sebe yense se osika enye niema bi a ehu hia wo hwe owura mahama kasa no kan no o se project bi wo ha a eti se wo jai iyo me ne ya adwene wo suspend ti se cathedral no hina na oriwu ne sebe ye hia cathedral ebeje ne nkwa eno nkire se cathedral ehu hia na mo bra ye wo mu enye cathedral brege wo ya sa wo behu se etese ne okoma ba na wo yire no ma asore gine se dada fa aduan si wona ye nya aduan ni na wakoto range rover wo dem wo ma ba kire ware se wo hu priorities se wo ti ase enu nti bra ye wo mu enu nkire se cathedral enya de part ne ho ne ama na mum sabri de enye cathedral bre ese na mfata sabri da bi ye nya bribi a productivity a miura lawyer kan bribi a disika ede emama ye ho ahanhan ye wo yin sika ne ye ne emam yangankasa yebetuma ye wo ha ebebua na eno no se wo behwe se keta ase hwe wo memma so wo behwe se baby ye sika sei keke wo do na mbesi fom wo behwe se sika ye beyi no su adwuma ne ye benya eto da bi ye yi sika se enkoye adwuma na kogu nipa bi kotokum na ye ne ma epa afei ye ka nyina no nso kasa no wuti enkrofo kasa bibiri a owura ofura tanko owura ofura tanko na mbi se so okona so wuti ase asem na si ana yenhwe owura ofura ta no se wo hwe na adwuma yo ministry ho a so wuti ase enye ne nkwan o oye no on economic management team won di nsawoso won no hye won ase na woye na won so wo we wore ye den sesei wo ho anase won atukwan ho nkunta ni bi wo ho won so mfa won nansi fom na wonye owura mahama case ebetuma nka on se nipa ni nyina na oni anim ho na mi wura ni se dabi ememe ne adwene dabi ebiso obi ya ne na adwuma se wote ase vice president no ono no otua won ano na wo hwe nti se team no won fa won nansi fom na won fa osenye oyo won hu se baby yen adu akono enu nti nkonya bi a wo won wonyi na enyeye efe ye kan so aya ne yen agiaw cabinet nso ye cabinet na ne den eye ministers kakra bi won ne aban na soafo wosom bo papa aban ne won dwen policy any program ho eni nti economic policies and programs no won ne ebo na su
ministers no
cabinet phone you cabinet ne den nya ya kan nyina no wo kan wo ja cabinet what you pay to cabinet no so wo wahe na ne nsu refa yani won so wo me ye hu se wo ho me de me je so wo ho eni nti won fa won nansi form you na niema bi wo ho won hwe na ntente efi se ebegu egu no eguma ediesen minister no economic management team and cabinet na cabinet ne wo be ye nyina cabinet say onye ntuma wato agu nti cabinet no wo adwuma kese eto so ye enu nti cabinet no so mfo won nansi form ni ehu se wo nkonya bi a wo be yi se wo ntumi anye na saade a na wo be hu se biribia na ahokyera ba ye kan so ye kan bang na yen so ye ye ga jawo ye ho te se na yen de ne ekoi ye nkan debi
ya manfo
yo menon yen ye kwa adwuma ma ye adwuma den braso
productivity
ye de ye ntama ye pa ye ntama gu ho ye de ye achichira awia na ye adwuma den ne ye rebo aban so what else enye se aban no ye de no so bo abon na yen so ye menon yen so ye hia nnwuma ese ye de ye nansi form ye ne ye tie ye ne ane kwan so what else na yen so yen contributions no so ye ni ya eno so ma aban ni nnwuma ko toten efei etisa aban so ade ba akwa me de kai ne se political science is honest leadership aban wudi yen so ye de ntumi aban da na da se sabri hwe so kakra mayen enu nti ye beje wadi enu nti sasem bi to pai dimu no kware kire adwuma amode mami mekodu ha aye den amam yes wo kan obi abet
next wo kan ba besi doctor owura kwa mpiani mu sama o kan
yes honest leadership you hear wa ben mu papa if say adwuma na wo ye ne nya wadwuma o tom eye men wadwuma na ye de ama wo se koye enu nti ade na ho akere wa wontumi mpai mu na wo kan no kwara wo mu nkire me na ye se ne wo de nsem bi sabiri sie me dabi abang pe oh se bia yin adu se you obi abeto wase if you say wo kasa na wo ye na saa wo ma ohawa wo won wo danedia wonya nipa to wase na what wase a wo bra wo se wo besi wa no na eba se saa asem no kura no nkrofo bi som na wo rekere wawe a wo gina ho ma wo se oh okay nti yegusu ye dwen ho esa na sa abang na enye wa bang ye ye wo he nyina yen abang wo ne ye de watua no se ye nti sa abang tumi ye sa ne me na obomoden na otie ni nkrofo ka otie na sopam na odi ye adwuma na obomoden se baabi a sika fi egu fom wa no osiwa no na fe yan nso ye adwuma boya ban da na da sa abang baabi adu ye nyon kwan wadwuma sa wo ti ase na ye yire ho ye na fe abang nso gietum se yo ndabia ne oka se oh mi minister se ma so afo de wo ye adwuma no koso sa abang fi sa nkwanta ho you ofi ho a ofi ho de no be du nkwanta bi a wagyatum se ohawaba na so oje sa ade no tuma obiara owo anu aduru bia no
Obaboya me da say Okante said say if we have about 50 family members governing the country, this is what will happen. Even if the finance minister is not performing, we have a president who can say we should give him another 3 weeks or 3 months after he did nothing in 6 years. What can he do within 3 weeks? Can't tell me that say. Henry Blackhouse was in Ghana. Ghana, we had a CD to $1 due to the change of our denomination. So Ghanaians should stop praising Kufuor too much for that because his regime, under his regime, the economy is so good. Okay. Now, paper 00, the value is the same, no. Paper 0, so no 0 square paper, now so now I want to be answered in papa. Said the TN1, send a bit more. Also, good morning. Continue to, okay. Mamma share, my memory also 2 minutes, but now, Brandy, yes, said, Mampany, and a pound for Asia, a war, Pediasi, 1 more 5 journey at their for mine is custom to Chiaho. She said, baby, a drone. Who shall be the free moon? Mampany, so near Becca Sachina, I don't know if I can so back once. Mamma, I just come in free moon. But before that, BB and free mumma, we've seen this before. BB and free mumma. BB and free meeting mumma. BB and free mumma. I didn't know Casa. She in free mumma. That is what I'm talking about. Confidence. And confidence, you know, you can't have vague confidence. Confidence is founded on material action and policies and previous experience and previous actions. That is what informs you to have confidence in somebody. Yes, we say, oh, I have confidence in a person. But we should depend from the previous times. Ejuma be no di, or call the same to be a mono, and among be no too far, or too far on the kusi saying. That is how you build confidence. There is no confidence. But Jacob, now, my started free baby a doctor assistant this year. I meneno enya juno baby ka clear baby o de Ghana for a bamuno. Jacob na. Mesre say baby ye dui ye medu ha because of Ghana for ye yes sir na ye mankophobia wo mo suban no mo ne ye de abedu be edu na afọ mo hodi
da bi da kwa menkese eh o de da bi ma men sa
o kan say Ghana for so baby edu so play your role
ye wo ye
exactly
enu so wunye
role no wo ho e da kwabena role no Ghana for ye play a role. Ghanaians are very hardworking people. Ye play a role fitete aban bi aba Ghana for you. But Tom say you will admit say technocrats are Ghana had to draw no because we share public accounts committee, we share auditor general's reporter, brave be politicians problems we brave okay okay problems no war men can say Ghana for perfect. Yes, but I'm saying say Ghana for so ban home from the 90s omo te bi omo ye Ghana for you moye the same thing no moye besi samre.
But that's what they're showing in our growth rate since then.
Meba. Yeah, but the point na me make we nyanti ase. The point I'm making is say Ghana for suban ensesa ye. Ejuma na se bi we ye ediko no up to 5 years ago 10 years. Eno na we ye. How I was here ejuma no sa na we ye. There be changes but said ye suban I'm just holding certain variables constant. Okay. I'm making an economic analysis. Okay. Said you will see here no. The fundamentals are the same. Eja Kwabena. A year Kufuor be near because time at 2017 na
were growing well. In 2011, when Ghana was the fastest growing economy, you know, they're the same Ghana for now. They're the same technocrats now. The point I'm making is that a young Kofobi no musu bind the abedu say baby amena your dem say. Enti you better Ghana for conversation so but until then we in this anko boni we ye man Kofo ti say kele for yata a musu bind born the abedu baby edu ye mo hunu say wo dey the problem. Then after we able to deal with that problem, they will come to Ghana and say okay, they say you say we mo and the abedu baby edu because Kwabena said no we can 2007 na same ye redenomination na $1 1 cedi meboa.
It was actually less.
Yes, like yes, 90 something pesos. But in fact, say 1 cedi. From 2007 up to 2017,
so it was $1,000.
A movie from 1 cedi to $1 to 4.2. Not just saying 3.2 cedis ever count for 10 years. 2017 from 2007 to 2017, 10 years. President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Baumene Kenufurata before economy, not dollar near 4.2. In 5 years, I'm the free 4.2 to 15 cities. That is what we are talking about. In 10 years, the dollar moved from 1 cedi to $1 to 4.2. In 5 years, what were the 11 cities now come home? In 5 years, petrol. In your friend is saying. In 2017, yeah, na petrol you're saying almost 6 cedis to a liter. And yet petrol 17 cedis. And on your Ghana for so buy. And just a Ghana for your majuma ye. And just a Ghana for sebi omo normal kitikiti woman who there be. And you kofobi bon and almost buy bonnet any pesamin kumunya any adwin bonnet on the bar ben almost almost sell mine. And the diabetes baby.
What some more sell mine now? Who will ever come into pub say me bow man more be sell mine? Say be a what kind of ross are now question be a
ross are because of
by saying about sell mine or saying possible. Yes.
Waba abemo. Wabe to banks. Uba banks na kwa here mo. Banks no unya 9 billion na ubetuma chama banks na gina amankofo business akoso no akobo bosia 22 billion e dey beku banks no enye adwumbone a eja Kwabena we mi nkyere mu sen sabi se won share that se obese o man na e na Ghana e your private company e na ka private company na kwa hohia mu a na private company no ehia 9 billion na unya 9 billion betuma solve problem no na kwa bonte ko bosia 22 billion de be say e de gu nkofo nyuma say nkofo edwetire a na uka che me say say nipa we wa ma say obese economy na I don't know how you explain this and that's why I'm just basing it based on omo actions and okay. Make so the point I'm making is that
all right no for no see
okay o mampanyi is abekasa bi from COVID time I started here won't kromo no mampanyi beka kire say we know how to bring the economy back, but we don't know how to bring the dead back. Want it? How many times will Mampenya address you, Kroma? What you say? Agya Kwabena, dear Ochina, a bit Ghana for our one say the kind of modesty Ghana for here, modesty, the kind of modesty I have Brazil, Ghana for any Casade, Ghana for here. In times like this, no, yeah, no, Mampenya.
Okay.
Agya Kwabena,
for okay.
Abeka kire Ghana for abeka brofo akese abeka brofo akese akire Ghana for shi mu ma
I think it's important 2 minutes sorry Minia Thompson some of the rhetorics become part of the problem you know because for example we frame the conversation and you didn't come on or MPP NDC. Now you're framing the conversation and the narrative.
Not at all.
In a partisan
not at all. Not at all. No.
So for example, if you have the conversation, say dollar, obide 3 cedi and 4 cedi neka now we did 10 account. You're doing the comparison of the party.
You see, I did in the time frame. I said 2007.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yes, no,
but I'm saying that frame the conversation from since what has been the trend.
No.
And if you study the trend since 2000, you would tell, say, on the average, about 18% depreciation almost every year. And found near buying was.
Okay.
Of course, some averages, some drive it more. And I hear you. I hear you to say some people may be ineffective and drive it more. But the point is, over the long term,
what you are doing is actually the problem. What he is doing is the problem. Let me this kind of analysis. You see, when people what is this? And I will be
but obedience to obedience.
And I concede on that. I agree with you on that. But the point is, yending common holistically, and not let me. In that focus, we should focus on building a strong culture. And of course, Dr. Kai, resource allocation. Say unya oha no ha no good for ma. We should have an effective resource allocation. Basically holes no. But I still maintain say inventiveness, innovation, and productivity is the way to building the nation.
I have no doubt.
If you take countries like America, they are not America. Take Germany. There are countries like that because yekotoka free omoho, internet way, camera way, they invented and they are innovative and and we get all these from them. Irrespective of the party or bebano, these things will be, yes, they can put in policies that will help. But I think that if anybody is listening, the real conversation is, as a young person listening, you should prioritize your inventiveness, your innovation, your own education, your personal culture, and take your private enterprise as your private business.
Not when the economy is destroyed.
Just a minute.
Not when the economy is destroyed.
Yes, do the politics, but it's hard time we understand that the left and the right over the long term has not been the solution. It must be private enterprise.
The government has a responsibility. The government responsibility to create an enabling environment.
I'm so real men some kasa no also was some kakra bi o kire na adwene ho men so me kire na adwene ho ma adwene ho ne kasa bi o kai o sa bang ne ba so be say ade eni ho in political science hwe ye de tumi mo bi a ye de tumi ma o say ne aye frɛ no ayi wo frɛ no the administrative capacity say ye de tumi ama wo be use resources na we de oman so na oman na esi baabi ye de ntumi nkese abeni ne awa betena se efi 20 ayi wo frɛ no 17 besi ne onye hwe ma wo mani dabi ye ntumi ye wa ahochirim sei enu nti aben bia ni wa wo betuma kese aben de oba be say ade dabi ye ni abansa na mom oye ne policies programs na ebi faili na de niam aba be sa ban paase ni jetumi me be say ade akọ eni polokasa e bibi foforo ma adwena me kire wo
ene esi wo Ghana
me da si bebre Dr. Sa Asante na yete ne nka no Dr. Sa Asante penimpa awo University of Ghana Legon. Dr. Sa Asante Director Center for European Studies University of Ghana ono timi sani fesu doc me da se Mensa Thompson enso executive secretary edemasipa ono cheche no me da na se na fi asompa so ye private legal practitioner na fi financial expert wono so me da na se wonya kwan baye na ene ye sori suyi na me de enchia ene happy belated or birthday cordial ma Mrs. Anita Buckle we are Juma Salvation Army and it does so fear a wokokumlemle if you ura I am Mr. Backer ho na say a happy a belated and I say okay ene ewa wodano nti Anita wonu anu nyina reta eno mame so me kan chew sane me ankasa so me kan bi ye nyina ye kan bom ama happy birthday ye de ko twetwe ni nyina besi ama pani ni e bekasa ye wochina na ye kasa no wode na bedwafo ahia ewo peduase toato adwene enti ye hwe mampeda dan so ade adwenche nsusue bi abasa se no be ye duro no sa me di kanka ahase ne yan di senya PPBO ye Ghana enti national dialogue aso sa national dialogue ye mampeda da mahama aka se ye nya no so wodi kan kora kadada na wasan susu dia bio aso ye betie dia ye adwuma ade amoman na kora nim se de ye pese ekono ana ye se bi se tiawa ɛna me so bibisa me hwɛ kwan sɛ yɛbɛka ne agya bi na yɛsan dwene ho kyena no saa ne yɛbɛyɛ no medin de Agya Kwabena production team da mo nyinaa se sɛ mo hyehyɛ dwumadie yi ɛde ɛma me na me so bebedi ho akyia me yɛnya nkopɔn no yɛ adom a da sɛ na critical issue yɛbɛsɛn aba yɛakra mo ɛda mo nyinaa se ɛma mo ne hwɛ